Welcome into the Northwest Bank Studios. I am Jake Brend. This is Levi Stevenson. This is the first ever Cyclone Fanatic After Dark crossover, like official one.
Yeah.
Levi's been on some CF stuff. I've been on some After Dark stuff. Pence has done both. But this is the first one that we're branding. Like, we've got both logos on here.
We have
CF
both
logo, the
logos
After
on
Dark
the screen.
logo. And what we're doing is we're out at the Cyclone Gridiron Club golf outing at the Towns of Tuscany. A really fun day. We just spent about an hour on the putting green with Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah.
And he's putting with groups as they go through. Tyler Roll was out there, the offensive coordinator.
Ricky Ciccone.
What did I do? I made a putt.
Are you asking me to brag for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I won't do it for myself.
So they're taking putts like 30-footer or something
The
like that.
hardest putt you've ever seen?
Someone would argue it's one of the putts I've ever seen. It's a double breaker. It's got a little bit of a back break back behind the hole, and Jake did sink it on the first try. And nobody has footage of it, so it didn't happen. Jake's lying.
It didn't happen. And that's not why we're here today. I didn't even warm up. I didn't plan on putting. We're out here, though, to talk football. And we actually talked before all of that putting green stuff. We talked for about 40 minutes with Jimmy effing Rogers, and man, he was incredible.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Rogers. We're going to talk to Ross Watson. We're going to bring in CF After Dark's Austin Keeney today. This is just going to be a football fanatic type show.
Yeah, if you're in the spot right now where you're just kind of getting back into the groove, maybe you listened to like our Down the Pipe episodes last week with our roster breakdown, the schedule, previews. You've been listening to to Jake's daily clones or anything like that, where we've been just ramping up into football mode. Especially Jimmy Rogers' interview, and I anticipate Ross Watson's interview will be. They'll get you the rest of the way there, I imagine.
Yeah, and let's just not even tease it anymore. Let's just throw it to head coach Jimmy effing Rogers. All right, we're joined now by head coach Jimmy Rogers at the Gridiron Golf Tournament. How you doing so far, Coach?
I'm doing good. I'm so close to hitting this this putt in that nobody's really gotten in the hole except Tyler's gotten it in. Tyler Roll's gotten it in once, and then two other members have gotten it in. So my time is coming up here soon.
What's that? What's the hole? What?
I don't even know what hole number it is, but it's a pretty decent slanted grade it's way above my pay grade of putting it in, but I've gotten close many times.
So are you a short game guy?
I'm not an any game guy when it comes to golf, but if I had to claim something, I would go more putting than on driving for sure.
So we wanted to start with this. Levi cut some film. Not a potential recruit. Too old now to play football for you, but we just want to get your thoughts on it, Levi.
Yeah,
Levi, take him through it.
So naturally, we've been trained on the 3-3-5 for the last decade. That's all we've been watching.
Okay.
So as soon as we were just like, okay, we're going to a 4-down, we immediately start watching tape. We start watching Wazoo tape, a little bit of Toledo tape, stuff like that.
Yep.
And obviously other teams that have run similar defenses. We found this game a little bit a while back. This has been about 2000. I think this is 2005. I want to say.
Okay.
Division III. Number 20 here. I don't know if you know who that is or not. A little bit of a surprising play. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you read this, on what's going on here. So obviously we're down here in an I set coming off. Receiver motion in the cross. 20's hanging out back here doing something and has no fucking clue what's going on. Nothing. So
Who's the running back? He looks decent.
yeah, not sure who the running back is, but unfortunately, that defensive back there is your one of your coaches, Ross Watson.
Yeah.
That totally ate shit on that.
Oh man! Oh man!
And I'm going to ask him about this too because I want to see if he remembers with this because this particular game, Mount Union had been on a very long win streak, like.
Oh, you're going to dig at him.
Absolutely.
I bet you he remembers the play.
Because I believe they still won the national championship again this particular season, but they went 14-1.
Was he a freshman then or something?
He was a senior.
Oh, man. Go back. What does he look like?
Number 20, little skinny kid. He's playing corner in this one. So this must be empty over here, but he's like hanging out behind the linebacker, the nickel back here, and just fucking nothing.
Oh, man.
Did he think the quarterback was keeping it?
You know,
I guess
it
we'll
threw
see.
him off when the linebacker didn't kick in. You could tell that he's wondering why that guy doesn't know his job.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
Because he it seems like he thinks the running back's coming back inside there. But, obviously that didn't go well.
And then he just gets ran over by a teammate.
Yeah.
I like it. You're putting him on blast, huh?
That's exactly right. So I just didn't know if you were aware of that when you brought him on, or
You know what? Ross is a guy that I met. He was a coach at FAU. So I G8 at South Dakota State, went to Florida
Yeah.
Atlantic, was on the opposite side of the ball, actually working with Luke Meadows and Brian Wright, who was the offense coordinator, who's the head coach at Northern Arizona now. I was working on the offense side of the ball with the O-line, but my passion was always on defense. Ross was, me and him kind of hit it off on just football, and we talked football for a long time. And what I took from Ross at the age in which he was at was how good of a teacher he was, the instruction that he can give, the clarity and the simplicity of how he was able to explain things that I thought, man, this guy's for one, a really good teacher. He's extremely intelligent. He's really detailed, and he makes things easy, and the players loved him. And over the course of his career, I've always just watched how his teams have done, and obviously the success that he's had, not just at Toledo, but Northern Illinois. The year I left, the next year after I left, because I went back to South Dakota State, that was my first full-time opportunity. He was at FAU for the additional year, and when we showed up, I think they were 124th in defense, and in 1 year, that staff, Ross, a part of that staff, was the 17th defense in the country. So I've always believed in him and how he's gone about his business, and I also just love people that he don't care what you think of him. He says it how it is. It's like a breath of fresh air to me. And he's extremely humble. Now, if you ask him for an opinion, he is not going to give you a cookie-cutter answer. Now, you better buckle in and get ready for a descriptive answer that may have some language in it. And, me and him have always hit it off. I've appreciated his guidance through so many things.
one thing I too has noticed, and kind of how you have your position coaches broken down. You have bobbing on linebackers and a few different. You have a safeties coach and have a corners coach, and Ross is in charge of that nickel, that extra nickel spot in that 4-2-5, among other things, obviously.
Yeah.
But why did you feel it was important to have him be in charge of that spot?
There's a lot of nuances that go to a position. The other part of it is we do a lot of things out of a 4-3 structure. We're not fully adapted to a 4-2-5 or the 4-2-5 system. He's ran it. I needed somebody to look at our defense from a different lens.
Yeah.
I've been doing not the same exact thing. It has always been evolving. When I took over as head coach, I wanted Bobbitt, who I coached, who was an assistant alongside of me. He knew it the best. He had been at the second level of coaching the safeties when I was coaching the linebackers. When he became defensive coordinator, I brought in Pete Menage, who is also a part of the system and the growth of the system, and I made him safeties and Bobbitt linebackers, which is the natural position for Bobbitt to coach because that's what he played, that's what he was comfortable with, that's what he was coaching at Washington State at the time, and I wanted it to be the shell of everything that I had created along the journey of learning through failure. And he knew it best, and he's done an unbelievable job from the leadership standpoint to developing the culture in which I wanted to continue. He's done it better than me as far as I'm pretty black and white. I'm really serious when it comes to football. Bobbitt has the balance of making things fun and enjoyable, but also turning a switch on and taking it really serious, and the players taking him serious. So he's been unbelievable. But he's been with me, and I needed somebody from the outside, somebody that I could trust, somebody that wouldn't sugarcoat things on, this system is great. I needed ideas and I needed truth, and Ross has been great for us.
Now, when you say that you're not fully adapted to the 4-2-5, do you see that as over the next year or couple years or whatever it is, that eventually adapting to just that's our system type of thing? Or
I think it's always adapting. To say that we're locked into one system in college football with the multiplicity of what you see week in and week out, you have to be able to handle motions different, zones bump, make it look like man and run and travel, and then play zone, and then the opposite of those things, and be able to change the front and make really every week offensive coordinators be like, what is okay, I think I have it, and then it changes again on them. Because that's what a great offensive play caller does. He makes simplistic things look very complex. And I think if there's one guy I've gone against in my career on that side of things, it's been Tyler Roll at NDSU. And I've spent my career chasing and trying to beat North Dakota State to win a national championship, and he was such a part of that. And, there was just so many things. You know, you break down that system of an offense and you look at personnels. That system made me have to think outside the box, because if you look at the personnels, there would be 27 personnels to us, different people on the field, who's who, who's that fullback, who's that tight end, who is this guy, who's that guy. And then I had to be like, the players can't consume all that information.
Sure.
When you hold this up, it's not going to click to them. So we had to learn how to simplify, but still be able to play on the attack and not be so one-dimensional or predictable ourselves. Because the worst thing that you can do on defense is allow an offense to know where you're going to be, when you're going to be, or where you're going to be, and when you're going to be there. They'll block you at the point of attack. And I've just learned that over the years through failure, and we've ended up having a lot of success in the last 6 years.
What moment did you, I guess, say, Tyler Roll's a rival, couldn't stand playing against him, but I want to bring him in? Because, like, you brought almost the entire defensive staff from Pullman and almost none of the offensive staff. At what point did you realize, like, if we're going to make this jump, I want to reinvent this offense, and I want Tyler to be that guy?
We were rivals, but there's respect in the rivalry.
Yeah.
And there's admiration in what he's accomplished in his career. I wanted his leadership of who he is. I don't care, like everybody makes a big deal on system. I have my beliefs defensively. What makes a great offense? What makes a great defense? What makes a great special teams? It isn't the X that's moving on the board at times. It's who is leading the X on the board at times.
Yeah.
And what those players hear, how they go about their work. Are they bought in? Do they have a desire every day to come out and be physical and show grit and play with a certain level of toughness that people can't match? You have to embody that as a person for it to feel genuine. Having played against Tyler me and him, he played running back and I played linebacker, and then our position, we were coaching. He was coaching the running backs and tight ends, and I was coaching the linebackers. He was the OC, I was the DC. Like, our careers have kind of gone at the same track, and so there's a lot of respect there. But I would say I was looking in a leadership, because there were some games last year that I felt like that was lacked on the side of the ball. You could feel it in spirit, and you can see it in the game, and I just knew I had to make the adjustment.
So you decided Tyler Roll was enough of a pain in the ass for a long time that you decided you wanted him to be somebody else's pain in the ass? Or?
Me and him would always see each other in recruiting, and we would always talk. So there was always, it wasn't like, hey, F you, on the road.
Would he have still been probably your choice for this, even if he had not been here before? Or was that
had nothing to do with
nothing?
it.
Okay.
Nothing. It helps.
Sure. Yeah.
Surely, because he's a guy that knew a lot of pieces to the puzzle that were not just football, because to run a football program, it's not just football. I mean, we have unbelievable support staff from nutrition, athletic training. I brought in the strength and conditioning, academic support. It is top-notch. It was ran really well by Coach Campbell. So a lot of things in the support world haven't changed systematically, because I'm not changing things that don't need to be changed. Equipment, they had a way to do things. I have a way to do things. not all of those things have changed as far as the structure, because if there are things that don't need to adapt, maybe myself and the staff need to adapt because this place is new for me. It's a little bit easier for me to adapt than always have the support adapt around me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes
Because I have to get
sense.
a team to understand what's
Yeah.
going on. And so if I can keep their role the same and I can adjust a little bit on my end, there's so many layers to how a football team works. I think it's just easier to be able to adjust yourself than to adjust everything and everybody, especially if it ain't broken.
Well, and if you got an infrastructure that already, just as far as the nuts and bolts and just the things going on behind the scenes as far as how things works, and you also have a handful of guys that are coming back that already know that, plus Tyler's already been here, where now you have not just a system that has worked here and is easy to adapt to, but you have other people that can teach other people how to adapt to it.
Yeah, and kind of guide you on, hey, this is a good person to know.
Right.
Tyler's been great with that.
So Jamie went on a podcast earlier this week and announced that you were the one who voted Iowa State to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
He shared your reasoning, but just to hear it from you, what was your reasoning behind it?
Not if you're a competitor, and it's no offense to nobody that voted on themselves. That's great for us. But I think if I'm going to say that we're going to win, I have to fully believe that we're going to win. I have to speak it into existence. I learned that along my journey of you better believe what you say and you better act on what you believe. And all those things need to align. And I got asked that question like, hey, we're voting to see who you think will be in the championship game and who will win. And I said, how many people voted? And they said, well, you're the last one. I said, and how many people voted on themselves? They said, 2. I said, 2 people. 2 coaches think that their team's going to win. And I thought, I think that's unique. If that thing showed up as 0 and I was a player and I looked at that, I would wonder, hey, nobody believed in us. But, Coach, did you get a vote? And I'm not going to lie to the team. What would you say?
Yeah.
Right?
There's no argument against
the
it.
other part of
It's
that,
funny 'cause,
the fans should say, what is going on?
Like, what the hell, Jimmy?
Will it happen? We're going to work to try to make it happen. Does it happen? I'm not the one on the field, right?
Sure.
But it will, in my plan and my vision and what I want this to be, yeah. So when are you going to start believing? When you get close and then you lose? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in rebuilding. I just believe in, this is competitive sports. We all signed up for this. Be the best. How many games are you going to win? What's your going to be record? All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Is that bold to say? We're going to lose 7. What are we talking about? I would just...
It's funny because
right?
your mode of thinking makes perfect sense. It's the most logical way you could think, but because as fans and as media, whatever, we've all been just kind of attuned to I'm going to be nice and vote for somebody else type of thing or whatever. But
well, I'm not nice, and I wasn't hired for my disposition, right? So
there you go.
It is what it is.
Do you enjoy, not that you're putting pressure on yourself, but
this whole thing
it's
is
out
pressure.
there?
Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care. I'll get if I said that we're winning 2 games. Our fan base and our players would be like, "What?"
Yeah, they'd lose hope before it even started.
Yeah, you'd be off the train right away.
So, I'm all in, and we need to be all in. And I think there's going to be growing pains along the way. I'm not ignorant to not know that, but along that journey, we're going to have a lot of fun. It will be competitive. Our players will represent the brand of Iowa, the state of Iowa, and they'll be proud to wear an Iowa State logo.
How much confidence do you feel throughout the team? You talk about your confidence, the staff's confidence, as spring camp wrapped up and now you get into fall. Do you feel like this team feels more confident about itself?
There's no question. It's kind of unique because when you recruit so many kids, you think in your mind, does every recruit that you're recruiting and all those transfers that we're bringing in, do they know what just happened to the program? You'd be shocked on so many people that don't do the research on where they're going.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you sit in a team room for the first time and you say, okay, there's 56 transfers in this room. There's 44 players from last year's team that are on this year's roster, and everybody's like, damn, that's a lot. Right?
They didn't pick up
a
on
little
it.
bit as I looked at them, I'm like, they didn't. I felt like some of them were like, man, this is a lot. Yeah, this is new. And I thought that part was unique. Is that they came because they wanted to play at Iowa State, and through this, they're developing lifelong relationships that are formed through the connection in which you create as a staff, the energy in which we bring every day, the spirit in which goes into it all. And they wanted to prove themselves in one of the best conferences in the country. And we got a bunch of bought-in guys. There were many guys that came on these visits that I had to tell them as they were here in Ames, and I would say, you don't fit. And they're thinking that they're getting an offer, and I'm telling them that they don't fit. And that's part of protecting Iowa State. It's also protecting the team that is forming, that I had to find not necessarily the same personality, but surely the right mentality. Ones that are driven and were going to embrace the work and everything that I/the team/the staff want to become. And I think we've done a really good job. And will it grow? Surely it will grow. It will grow over the years. We won't be a final product day one when we roll out the ball versus SEMO. The goal is that every season you're not game one, that you grow every single week. Can it be done? I've been on teams that have, and it has everything to do with the leadership on the team and how they handle adversity down the road. And I feel like we have the right type of player with the right spirit because of the guys that are in the room.
Was there a point in that process when you knew that there were going to be some guys that were fan favorites that you weren't either going to offer back or maybe give them a promise of playing time or a certain amount of NIL money? Did you factor that in and just say, people will understand eventually?
No, I think when you get caught up in something like what we just gone through, you get caught up in what everybody else's feelings are. You do nothing well. And I don't know if ripping the Band-Aid off is the right term, but that's what we did. I wanted guys that wanted to be at Iowa State.
Yeah.
And that is, I've said this numerous times, and I'll say it again. The players that left, a lot of those guys loved Iowa State. But they loved Iowa State because of the experience that they had with the coaches that coached them. And as a fan, that's really hard to understand. But as a player, you're with that person every day. You can't envision your experience of playing or finishing out your career with another person. And hell, maybe they don't want to finish it out with anybody else. And I get that. And a lot of those guys, like the tight ends that were leaving, those dudes were awesome.
Yeah.
They just like, Coach, I appreciate how you came in. Because when I came in, I didn't say, this is how we're going to do it, and this is, and it wasn't that. It was like, guys, I know where you're at, right? And I'm different, and I'm not going to try to be him, but I can tell you, like, you didn't just choose Iowa State for one person, and that one person or the staff itself hasn't been everything that has made this experience. And they appreciated that message because it wasn't coming from a place of like, you're either in or you're out. I was trying to meet them in the middle and have conversations and hear them out and learn what were positive, learn what they would have liked to have seen different. And but they surely helped us for sure. And so I know there's a lot of maybe resentment towards people that left. Those players that said, Coach, like, I appreciate it, but I'm going to finish elsewhere. It helped me at the process in which I took this job to understand, all right, he's gone. Check. I need to get somebody to replace this type of player.
Yep, need to find somebody. Yep.
And when you're talking crunch time of portal open to portal close, and you're talking about the amount of players, you better know your numbers prior to going into that and then how you're going to construct it. And I couldn't do this job without Ricky Ciccone and the whole recruiting department with how much players that we have watched in the last year. Because you think about that time frame of my Washington State opportunity to now being at Iowa State, there's close to 157 to 170 players that are commits. It's probably the most in college football history. But to land that many, how many do you have to watch? Thousands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thousands. And that's somebody's job, and that's it's a lot of film watched, and I couldn't do it. I could not do any of this without the staff, the recruiting department, Ricky's guidance through all of it, because there's so many phone calls, there's so many situations, there's now money and NIL involved, there's agents left and right. It was unique, and we'll never go through this again, but at the same time, I learned a lot from my first experience of things I would do differently, and I'm not going to get into all of those things, but yeah, I think this one has been a smoother transition. And it has nothing to do with Washington State. It has to do with me and my knowledge of what I learned, because I was blessed with opportunities.
So from that, the first, last year when you had to do it with Washington State, now here, how did you adjust your approach to not just talking to transfers, but you had a few guys that were committed to Washington State that switched to Iowa State to kind of follow the staff here, and how do you go about building a roster? Maybe talk to the freshmen and the transfers a little differently, but how do you, when you're going into your first year, you kind of have to sell a vision and a hope and a dream, basically. How do you go about selling that to a transfer, and is it any different to selling it to an incoming freshman?
No, I think it's like now with the rules, you play 5 for 5, right?
Yep.
Best players play.
Yep.
We're going to try to get you as ready as fast as we possibly can. You have to meet us in the middle, okay? We can't drag you to the final destination so that you play. You have to put in the work. We're willing to put in the work, the extra time with you, but you got to want this. And we believe in your skill set. That's typically the message. It's not a whole lot of fluff. Because a lot of players that I believe and I like naturally recruiting are ones that maybe Iowa State is the only Power 4 school. And I know there's a lot of grief, and that comes with stars. And, how many offers does he have? You know how many offers Tucker Kraft had? Or Dallas Goddard? Or Mason McCormick? Or Isaiah Davis? Or Isaiah Stallbird? And I'm talking about South Dakota State players, FCS players.
Mark Gronowski.
They're the best player. They're playing in the NFL. So if they can play in the NFL, they can play Power 4 football. Mm-hmm. And maybe nobody saw him as that, but we did. Christian Roseboom was choosing between South Dakota State and Northwestern. And I don't mean Northwestern as Big Ten Northwestern. I'm talking about
Orange City.
NAIA Northwestern.
And he went on to be the best linebacker I've ever coached. And he's, I think, going on to year 6 or 7 in the NFL. And I don't know. You got to see something in somebody before they maybe see it in themselves at times. And but they got to be willing to put in the work, and they have to have the right mindset and the mentality that meshes with you as an individual as the one that's going to coach them. So I am big on person. I am big on fit. I'm big on how hard they work and what people say around them. I would take the right person over the more talent. Talent doesn't mean that you're the best team. There's a lot of talented teams out there that don't win. Mm-hmm. And you can see it on the sidelines with palms up and complaining and worrying about things that don't matter. Some of the most talented players I've ever coached never made it through a year. So that's kind of my take on all of it.
Sure. When in part of that adjustment, so again, different staff, but in the last decade, they've been recruiting heavy Ohio, Pennsylvania, and I've noticed that you guys have been looking at more in Texas and Florida and a little bit Arizona and stuff like that. Is that a product of the relationships, the guys you have on staff as far as just kind of where they know people type of thing, or is there a concerted effort to go? I mean, Florida and Texas are obviously Florida and Texas. Is that a combination of the two things, or what was the mindset? Instead of chasing the upper Midwest guys exclusively versus branching out and finding guys kind of all over the country.
Yeah, I think find the best players in the country that fit the skill set of what you're trying to do from a schematic standpoint. Get to know them. Do they fit as a human being? Let's get them to Ames. Do you like them as people? Do you like their parents? Can they see themselves here? Do they want to be here? recruiting is not a perfect science.
Sure.
We found those guys, and then getting to know them, you're like, I like this kid. I like this kid. This kid's got the right mindset. Some of it is connection, obviously, because our staff, like Ricky's from Ohio, Ross Watson was just in Toledo, at Toledo, and so he spent 10 years there in the state of Ohio and kind of knew a lot of the schools, right? Knew about certain players. I got a staff, especially on the defense, that's really Chicago-based. What we had done on the defense staff was they went right back to the areas in which they were recruiting when we left to go to Washington State. We had everybody sectioned in certain states. Jalen Bibbs had Nebraska for years with us. Coach Bobbitt's from the state of Illinois. So was Mike Banks. So was Ron Pavlik. Jake Menage had Minnesota. Obviously, Derek Sherman was at Texas. There's ties there. John Johnson, maybe one of the best recruiters I've ever been a part of in analyzing recruits, the ones that he knows that I want. And he has recruited Texas and Oklahoma. Everybody kind of has somebody and people that we know out of Florida. But, yeah, I would say it's about looking at the skill set and saying, this kid's good enough to play for us. Let's get to know him. Does he fit us? If he doesn't fit us, we move on. And that happens a lot.
Sure.
But, yeah, it's about finding the right people. And those people come from all over the states. I would love to say that we can recruit the Midwest and the Midwest only. That's not the new era of football.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's so much money involved.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So,
Oh, yeah.
But I do think we did a really good job with analyzing the players that we feel like are great fits, that care about things outside of a dollar, that want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, and they could see themselves here for 4 to 5 years in Ames, Iowa.
Well, Coach, full disclosure, we were looking for clips of you screwing up and couldn't find anything.
I watched 4 full games, start to finish, looking for looking for a clip like that.
Are you talking about coaching? Because I screwed up.
No, you playing. I was looking for one, and maybe I just found the best 4 games possible, but I struggled to find one.
Which games did you watch?
So I watched, the first one I went to was when you lost to Montana in the first round of the playoffs. I think it would have been your senior year. Yeah, 2009. I looked at that one. I think I pulled up, I'm trying to remember, I pulled up another couple games from your junior year.
I didn't realize you watched this many. I'll be honest.
I looked forever because I found this one literally first drive.
Where are you finding this?
There's some tape on YouTube and stuff like that. You can find old the full replay of this Mount Union game from 2005.
Well, as
YouTube.
part of the team, we definitely screwed up in my senior year versus Montana. That may have been the worst loss of my life.
That was a big comeback, right? 35-7 at half, I think, and then
we blocked the punt coming out.
Yeah,
we scored a touchdown off that block punt. Then Mark Mariani returned the next kickoff. And as the people were leaving Missoula, they started to come right back into the stadium, and the place was vibrating on us. I'll never forget that experience. It's also my last game ever playing. So there's a lot of things I regret.
Way to go, Levi. Way to bring it up.
I didn't mean to ruin the
Yeah, I got to go putt. Now you're in my head.
He's like, damn, I missed that tackle against Montana. Shit.
I've had many bad games for sure, but I could tell you my effort was there.
Well, that was honest, and that was the first time I had scouted the playing film of a coach before. But that was one thing I noticed. I noticed it how you played and just how you carry yourself as a coach too is very much like because you're a little bit undersized as a linebacker, but you were like. I'm
Me
sorry.
and Tyler are the same exact height.
Listen, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to throw shots across the path. but you're always in the right spot at the right time, for the most part, or whatever. And you always you were always where you needed to be when you needed to be there, and you played tough and all that. And I can see that in your playing tape, and I can see that reflected in you as a coach. Just as far as just how you talk about things, just like a lot of no bullshit, just. We're doing this. This is how I think this is the best way to do it. This is, but I'm relying on my teammates and all this. I can see that reflected pretty easily. If that was my big takeaway coming from the tape, it wasn't that Jimmy fucked up on some run play. It was like this guy's kind of a badass.
I don't know about that, but I surely my teammates meant the world to me, and being a part of a team is such a special thing, especially the game in the game of football. The locker room's a special place. It is one of the few sports where you train year round and you get, what used to be less opportunities, you get 12. Mm-hmm. And so some people think it's insane, but it's the memories that you have as you go through something and you suffer with one another that make it special. And I say it all the time, like you have to be willing to suffer to get to a place that you can find true joy and find success and feel good about. And there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. There's a lot of suffering that goes through hard losses and bouncing back. And even when you play well, right? Like the outside world cares about a result. The coaches care about the process of how you got it done. It will never be good enough. This is how we're kind of wired. I tried to find a staff that was similar to that, because that's hard to be that person all the time and people looking at you like, we just won. And I have to be the balance for the staff too. Jesse's that way. You want to hold such a standard that you can beat people. They kick a field goal on you. It kind of ruins your day and you beat somebody 44-3. It's because that you let it slip and it fell off at the end of could have had a shutout and they gave up 3.
It's throwing the one hitter versus the perfect game type of thing.
And I feel it too. And then I'm like, I got to be the guy that brings Jesse out of that moment. Like, I know it ain't good enough, but like, just take a deep breath, like, and
it's okay to be happy for 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I probably have to be that person a little bit with the staff more, because if they're all in this frame that it's never good enough and we can't hold the standard, it's a miserable place to be, and I need them to understand there's a sense of positivity that needs to go into our players to make them feel like they've accomplished something when we do things well.
And there's something to be said for playing, but also coaching with a sense of joy for what you're doing, and understanding that you're still playing football. This is still fun. Like, we're doing this because we enjoy doing it, not just because we have to do it, type of thing. In kind of today's era where, with NIL and everyone's getting paid and all this, do you still think the athletes appreciate that, the grind, the pain, the suffering, the same way they always have, or do you think that's changed a little bit? I mean, it certainly depends on the kind of guys that you choose to bring in.
Yeah, I think it depends on the players.
Sure.
Yeah. When you find the right players with the right mindset and you didn't miss on that in recruiting because you were willing to tell the ones with talent that maybe don't fit, no.
Sure.
You have more kids that are willing to buy in and, suffer because they know how important it is and they care so much about doing it right outside of themselves.
Sure.
You wake up 4:50 in the morning to get to a workout. Are they doing the things necessary to be ready to be at their best for a 6 a.m. run or lift or a meeting? Are they wired that way? Not for themselves to go to the NFL, but because they know that they got an opportunity and people were counting on them. Those are the right type of people that I want to be around. Because I'd never have done anything in my life and thought, I'm doing this for me. And that's going to look bad, and this is going to come out everywhere. Like, well, you just left schools everywhere. How is that not about you?
Does that get frustrating to see?
I don't care.
Fair enough.
Because you get opportunities in life.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with what comes with that. There's a lot of hate everywhere. For me, I had to do what's best for my family. But again, for me, I've done in the sport of football, none of it is about me. None of it. It is about a staff and the players in the building being united. And I think there's united to me is an egoist belief bound by trust, purpose, and accountability. Everybody's got to feel that it's not about them. You may play 1 snap to 60 snaps to however many snaps. You have to be about the team, because nothing is more important, and you got to focus and you got to finish. And that's where I think the toughness of your team is shown by how you play. And hopefully the world sees that this fall. I know the world will see that this fall.
So you never have to deal with it, as long as if you're always bringing in guys that are gonna, or you think are gonna buy into that.
Yeah, not everybody's perfect either.
Sure.
There's a lot of players that I've coached over the years that weren't that when we brought them in. They didn't know how to be that. and they adapt it based off of their situation and who
Sure.
they were around on a day-to-day basis. I think that's the mold of a great program. That are we in the position to take this player who has a ton of talent that we kind of know is this way. Maybe he's not everything that we want to be. Does the nucleus of the team, can we take him in and he can become a part of that?
Yeah.
Or is he always going to be the one that's pulling us away from the direction that we want to go?
Can we create the environment that like they almost have to make the conscious decision to not become what we want them to be type of thing?
Correct.
Well, Coach, I'm ready to get on the line. If I'm being honest, I'm fired up after all
Listen,
that.
I'm old and out of shape. I got a bad knee, but like if you need me out there, I can.
You look good to me.
Well, I appreciate it.
You got the long hair hanging out the helmet.
That's I can make that
you got
happen.
to straighten it. You look like Pat Tillman.
I could. There's no way I could even make that happen. This is just how it comes out of my head. It's a.
I got long curly hair too.
Do you really?
No.
You should
but
go.
actually, it goes back and then it would curl. I had hair halfway down my back.
Listen, if you like, this only took like a couple years. You could do it. Like,
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing it.
oh man, that's just.
You have to go through so many suffering stages.
You do. You have to wear hats for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could look at myself every day like that.
You and me both, brother.
Well, good stuff, Coach. Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
time today.
Thanks for having me.
Have fun out there putting, and
Yep.
hopefully you make one or a couple.
I gotta show the people what I got here.
So how many are you on the hook for?
I don't know. Now after you guys have taken 40 minutes of my time,
now you're cold now?
maybe three groups will come.
We need to
through.
get you one of those old fluffy pitching jackets.
Coming out of the bullpen. Yeah.
The one like the big huge parka that Tom Brady used to wear. Get one of them.
The weather's awesome though.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You couldn't ask for a
beautiful.
better day.
Especially after
This
last
is an
week when it was
unbelievable
hotter than
setup.
sin. Man.
You know what I would say? I can't. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. The Gridiron Club and what they do for Iowa State athletics, Iowa State football, is huge, and we need more people to be a part of it and buy into what we want to become and believe that it can be done, and just stay consistent with their belief regardless of the result at times. Because if we can keep stacking days, I do believe in this place. I do believe in what we can become. I do believe in winning championships. And it's something that hasn't been done here that I want to be a part of.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy. Well, Levi, I've been saying ever since Big 12 Media Days, I like day by day just inch closer and closer to, okay, I'm excited about football. All right, I'm pretty excited about football. It's like I can't sleep thinking about football. And after that interview with Rodgers, it's like inject me with morphine and make me pass out for 45 days until
Yeah.
football starts. Get me to SEMO.
And it's funny too because when you listen to Jimmy, you can tell he's just a football guy. He just wants to talk football, and that's all he wants to talk. But like if you ask him a question, any question you want, he'll give you the most honest, genuine answer that he can come up with.
There's no BS.
There is no BS, and it's wild to listen to because not gonna throw shots at the last staff or anything like that, but it's a different communication style.
Yeah.
And like, with like Coach Campbell, he'd give you a lot of like coachisms and stuff like that, which there's a time and place for that stuff. But when you ask Jimmy a question, if you say, "Hey, what about this thing?" he'll stop, pause for a second, and then he'll give you exactly what he's thinking. And it's not the like the sugar coated answer. It's just, this is the deal. This is how we handled it. This is how I feel about it. And he just right there, and he lays it all out there. There's really no room for interpretation on anything he says. It's just what he says is it. There's no reading between the lines. It's not, he's got a lower leg injury and turns out he's, they cut off his knee.
Yeah, he's
like it's
in the hospital as we speak.
Yeah, there's no BS. It's just there, and I really appreciate, as someone that is also like that. I really appreciate that from him, especially when you see so many coaches around the country, like just in general. If you think about it, like the vote for Iowa State that he cast for himself, we got used to the Bill Self vote, where it was like everybody else voted for Kansas, but there was one person that didn't vote for Kansas, and it was always Bill Self. And you respected that because Bill Self is just kind of
He's the man.
He's the man. Yeah, Bill Self rules. But you get used to that kind of thinking where it's like, oh, I'm not going to vote for myself out of courtesy. And his line of thinking, which is almost unassailable, is that if I don't believe in my team now, then why should they believe in me? Why should they believe in anything we're doing? And it's like, it defies common wisdom now, but there's no arguing with it. It makes perfect sense.
I think my biggest takeaway from all of this is how, again, it's cliche. The staff is bought in.
Yeah.
But I think what I gathered from today is the steps that prove how bought in they are.
Yeah.
Like, we go back to what we talked about where he referenced the tight ends, and it's pretty well known that there wasn't a lot of consideration from Gabe Burkle and Ben Bramer on sticking around. And, I'm sure they love Matt Campbell. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're Taylor Mauser guys.
Yeah.
And the second that Taylor Mauser is going from Iowa State to State College, you can't blame those guys for following him.
I mean, and Mouse is awesome too.
But absolutely.
Yeah.
But other than that, there is the aspect of Rodgers and his staff and Ricky Ciccone, the GM, and all of the position coach had to make tough decisions. And you look at, I'll just use Caleb Bacon and Cooper Evil as examples because they're Iowans.
Sure.
And I think every fan would have loved to see those guys finish out their career as Cyclones because they're your lunch pail, small school.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Bacon was a cult hero.
Worked their way up. But at the end of the day, they're probably too big to be linebackers in this system. And Rodgers had to take, like he told us, that emotion out of it and had to take okay, what are they going to think? What are the fans going to think? What are the old coaches going to think? We have to do what's best for Iowa State football. There's that commitment. There's what he talked about bringing in Tyler Roll. He joked about the rivalry and what they had at South Dakota State and North Dakota State and how he was constantly evolving kind of around what Roll did.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like my favorite movie of all time, Heat, where Pacino and De Niro, they miss each other their entire careers until that movie. And, and then they kind of work together, but whatever. I won't spoil the movie. Regardless.
The movie's been out for like 30 years.
Regardless, he was at Washington State last year. Rodgers very well could have had the ego to say, we just brought in 70 new players and we went 6-6 and we were this close to beating Ole Miss and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to bring everybody. He didn't do that. He just brought the defensive staff. He didn't bring the offensive staff. He is completely allowing somebody else to reinvent half of the sport, which is massive. And on top of that, the defense was great, and he's bringing in Ross Watson, the one outside voice on that staff, because he views things differently, and he has a different background. And all of that to say, it's really easy to say, we're bought in, we're doing this. But what that interview showed me is the steps that Rodgers has taken to prove that, we're bought in. I don't really care about the ego thing. I don't care about any of it. And I don't know. I'm ready to run through a brick wall off of it.
And you could clearly see that he's demonstrating that he's a very principled guy. He has a set of core values that he always operates by, and he uses that as his foundation, but doesn't let it define the direction necessarily. Yeah. He's bringing in guy, like he said, to talk, Tyler Roll or Ross Watson to essentially challenge his own thinking, and that's, any good leader worth their salt always has somebody in the room to disagree with them that has a different way of viewing things. And Jimmy Rodgers is doing it. He actively sought out. He said, because he even said, he's like, we had all these guys at Washington State. We could have brought everybody or whatever in, and they had their system. But he wanted someone specifically from outside the group to say, listen, and specifically someone that is honest and that will be upfront and say, listen, this thing's not right. This thing, we're not doing this the right way based on what we think we want to accomplish. So when you have a leader that is actively seeking out, contrary advice or just a different perspective, that's how you know that he's got a good foundation to build on going forward.
And I know it's going to get so old, and I don't want to be the guy that's always comparing, because the comparison, what do they say? It's the thief of joy, whatever.
Yeah.
Iowa State's defensive staff didn't exactly change a lot the last decade, and it didn't need to.
No.
And my point would be, If you look at Washington State's defense last year, and you look at what they did at South Dakota State before that, you'd argue that their defense didn't really need to change either. And you look at the staff, Jalen Bibbs, defensive line, Jesse Bobbitt, linebackers, defensive coordinator, Mike Banks, cornerbacks, Pete Menage, safety, all those guys were at Washington State last year. And that was a really, really good defense. And still they found a need to be like, okay, Jimmy's like, I've worked with this Watson guy at FAU. He is exactly what I want in a leader. He's exactly what I want in somebody that isn't going to sugarcoat things. And he won't be afraid to speak his mind and be like, hey, we're really good. We could be better in this area. And I just think that's really encouraging because we all know that coaches can get in their own way with their way. Of like, we've done this for so long, we're going to keep doing it. And Rodgers, to me, seems very clearly okay to adapting even when things are good to really good. To be like, okay, we can be better here.
He does not strike me at all as the kind of person that's going to go on a power trip and be overly controlling about everything's got to be this little way. I mean, he even talked about how the equipment staff, like the infrastructure, the nuts and bolts of how everything goes on behind the scenes, like he didn't want to change that too much because it works here, and that's something that he could adapt to, and it won't affect, it won't negatively impact
too much.
Yeah, it won't negatively impact what he wants to do. So it's easier for him to just leave that in place, leave some familiarity in place, and allow that room for growth and for teaching from the guys that came back and from Tyler Roll, who is back, who he knows people in the building. He knows where to go to get a good sandwich. He knows he knows what building to go to for this thing. You have people that can guide you there and get you up to speed faster when you can leave as much of that familiarity in place. And I think that was, I think that's awesome to hear that, that's his approach to how he's going to build this.
Yeah, and overall, I think the picking Iowa State to win the league,
It's awesome.
I don't know how you can disagree with it. No. Because, and I kind of followed up and said, well, this wasn't exactly what I said, but you're kind of setting yourself up. Like you're calling your shot and saying, we're going to win the Big 12. Do you like that pressure? And he very quickly answered and said that this entire thing's pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to remember, that like media can put pressure on coaches, fans can put pressure on coaches, but at the end of the day, they've got enough pressure that they're dealing with that.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen the Steve Prohm era did not handle the pressure of the fans well at all. And I think the Otzelberger era has handled it pretty well, where it's like, all right, they can talk about whatever. Yeah. We're having the results. And I think Rodgers kind of fits into that mold of, fans will probably be upset at points, but we're just going to do what we do, and it doesn't really matter.
And he sees through the sort of illusion that like pressure that exists in the minds of the media and the fans, it isn't actually real. If you're a coach and you're not paying attention to what the media says and you're not paying attention to what the fans say as far as like that kind of stuff goes, it functionally doesn't exist because you're not concerned about any of that. So for you, the pressure doesn't matter. It doesn't
Jimmy's
exist.
Probably not hanging out on the CF forums.
He doesn't
Probably not.
Right. I mean, I would hope not. I hope he's like watching film or something. Like that's the thing is like he's eliminated like pressure for him in his mind. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, not only doesn't matter, but it doesn't exist at all. The pressure that we say from like, calling your shot, for him, it doesn't exist. It exists for us. So we can say like, he called a shot to go to a Big 12 title game. And he goes, maybe if they go 8-4 this year, he shoots, technically didn't meet his goal, but like, would you be happy with 8-4?
No, he promised a Big 12 championship.
Well, fair enough. Honestly, I tossed it up for you and you cranked it over the left field fence, and I appreciate that. But like, if you're talking about realistic, like 8-4 would be a pretty major. That's a national coach of the year type of season.
Yeah,
or at least a Big 12 coach of the year type of season. If he pulls out 8-4 out of all this,
could you imagine?
Speaking of coming, I think it's a different show.
Hey, it's all of our sponsors are all of our sponsors.
All of our sponsors are great. Yes,
I don't see any prayer fire, unfortunately.
I don't. We might need a campaign for that.
This is fitting. We're recording this at a bar.
We are. Yeah, there's literally a bar. There's booze right there.
I don't know how much I want to give away about the talons of Tuscany. It's a beautiful golf course, but they've got this awesome clubhouse.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a secret room somewhere within there. That's where we're doing this podcast. And Rogers opens the door. He's like, "Are you guys just at a bar drinking beer?"
Yep.
Like, yeah,
That's precisely what's happening. Yep.
You got us, coach.
Yep. We're at a bar with beer and a microphone.
We don't have to report to fall camp tomorrow.
Nope. I got nowhere to be, so you know what? It's fine.
Well, should we bring in Austin Keeney?
Let's bring in
from
Austin.
CF After Dark. We'll take a small break, and then we're going to talk some football with Keeney. Well, sandwiched in between head coach Jimmy Rogers and defensive, we'll just call him jack of all trades, Ross Watson, two highly successful football coaches. We bring in Austin Keeney, CF After Dark. Welcome.
Thanks, Jake. It's an honor to be in the Northwest Bank studio. Are you trying to say something like I'm not as successful or as good of a guest? You know, I figured this is what people are going to be tuning in to listen to.
Jake is just firing shots across the bow for no reason.
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I just said you were in between Jimmy and Ross.
Yeah, what an honor.
Yeah, quite the honor. No, all fun. Keeney's out here. It's just a great event for CF and After Dark as a whole.
Yeah.
Just getting FaceTime with the coaching staff, I think, is so valuable for not only the companies, but just, I think, everything together. And we're, what is it, July 23rd? So we're about almost 8 months, over 8 months into this entire new era. And it really does feel like, okay, it's actually a new era now. There's a season that's going to be played. And Keeney wanted to be brought in today to be sold.
Yeah, you know, I feel like there's a certain segment of Cyclone fans that are kind of keeping an arm's length away from football season. You know, it's around the corner, but everything is brand new. And basically, I don't want to sign up to get hurt. I don't want to jump too far in and, you know, be let down if things don't go exactly how some of the more excited fans are talking about. But, you know, you guys have had a lot of FaceTime with the coaches, more than I have, but I got to shake Jimmy Rogers' hand. Strong, firm handshake, you know. Watching him.
That's worth at least a win, or that right? Win and a win and a half, maybe.
Maybe.
Like if Vegas got to shake Jimmy Rogers' hand, the over/under would have gone up by at least a win.
Yeah.
Right, but you know, just like watching him interact with people coming through on the green, like reminding them, hey, you know, you guys want to come over here and take a picture with me, chatting with them a little bit before they hit some putts that Jake didn't make. I don't want him to.
Yeah, no, that's a lie. Jake didn't make the putt.
At least I haven't seen any evidence that it happened.
Yeah, no, there is no video.
It's devastating.
So guys,
Because I film the first like 5 putts I see of Rogers, and none of them are even close. And he actually ended up making
He made
back to back at one point.
Back to back.
But I'd stopped filming at that point.
Jake just not doing his job, I guess.
Yeah. What's new?
what's new?
You know, what's new?
But guys, you know, I think this is a great opportunity for you to kind of sell me on like why I should be jumping all in right now.
Yeah.
And, like,
So for known Cyclone doubter Austin Keeney, I think the
Hawkeye
Keeney.
take it easy. Take it easy.
That's true. Neither of us have been, had to go do like news coverage of Iowa games or anything like that at Kinnick or anything like that.
You know, nobody's talking about who the women's basketball player every single night on the news for like
That's
months
true.
on
Yeah,
end.
only one of us had to do that.
Had to. He got to. He
to.
was excited.
He was
loved
looking
it.
forward
I don't know
to
what
every
you
night.
guys
He
are
was like,
talking about.
he was in the Slack being like, guys, I get to talk about an Iowa basketball player today.
I mean, I talked plenty about my fellow classmate Maggie Espen Miller McGraw on Local 5 News as we talk about Iowa State women's basketball. Enough. Enough of this. we are not talking about her.
Okay.
So if I had a truly doubtful Cyclone fan going into this, the best argument you can say going into this is why you should believe is that the Big 12 as a conference, and specifically an Iowa State schedule, is a very navigable schedule as far as who you get at home, who you get on the road. You do have Utah at home, but other than that, let me reframe this. You get all of your hardest opponents at home at Jack Trice Stadium, with the exception of the BYU game, which, BYU
And Arizona, probably.
in Arizona, but you whooped Arizona last
I don't
year.
think the talent deficit from Iowa State to Arizona is that big.
Oh, I think it's minimal.
Yeah.
Nova Fifita is good, but
I don't think he's going to win Heisman like
don't think
Brent
so.
Brennan is campaigning.
Yeah.
Which, that's what I'd want my coach to do.
So I guess what I would say is the baseline there is that, you're going to have a shot to beat a lot of good teams at home. Like, especially like beating Utah at home. You're going to get Oklahoma State at home, which, obviously they weren't good last year. I'm a believer that Oklahoma State will be good this year. Like, I think they'll be eight wins or better at least. You're going to have you have all those great opportunities at home, which obviously Iowa State is a tough place. Jack Trice Stadium is a tough place. Everybody else hates playing at Jack Trice because it's impossible to play here. And then you get to go on the road for your easier games, and you could have a chance to rack up wins there. You're going to be going into Kinnick, but you're going to be going against an Iowa team that I think Iowa State matches up pretty well with. Like, if you look at strengths and if you look at scheme and the strengths and weaknesses of the Iowa game, they match up pretty well. If you look at what Iowa tries to do and what their personnel looks like, and we're not going to go into a full Iowa preview here, but
their elite quarterback play will be a problem,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Social media told me that we're going to lose 56-0.
Oh, well, you know. It's what's funny
Nobody
though.
who covers the Iowa Hawkeyes has ever been wrong.
Yeah, who was ranked it the other day? It was like I don't remember who it was. I think it was a fairly like quote unquote reputable Twitter account was ranking quarterbacks in tiers.
Cyclone Larry.
Well, God, hope not.
He's reputable.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I qualified it with reputable.
Wasn't it Froggy Toad guy, stats guy?
You know what? It might have been math. It might have been Calculator Frog.
Yeah,
it might have been.
Stats War.
Stats War, yeah. Anyways, he had put Jalen Raynor, I think, as like a C tier quarterback or a D tier or something like that. He had Iowa sitting in the F tier, like
below Northern Illinois.
Yeah, but like he's down, way down. Anyways, so what I'm telling you though is that like even with the turnover, Iowa State has a solid chance of going into Kinnick and pulling that upset.
All right, Levi, so what you're telling me so far is I should believe because the schedule's easy, but
That's
is the team good? Is the coaching staff good?
Jake, what do you think?
I mean, I think the best way to sell it based off of seeing it on the field at Jack Trice, and it's kind of what Levi and I talked about before we brought you on. You look at the defense, the body of the work. I think that is really trustworthy, and at the bare minimum, you're going to have a serviceable to good defense. Like, we're talking worst case scenario. If the defense is disappointing, it will be serviceable. It won't be below average. And I think what you've seen with these new teams coming into the Big 12, like you saw Central Florida struggle. You've seen Cincinnati struggle. You even saw BYU struggle year one in the Big 12 under Kalani Sitake. Arizona, year one under Brent Brennan. I think a lot of it has been because the defense was so bad in putrid. And I would be really, really shocked if Iowa State's defense was bad. And I would be willing to put my reputation on the line for that. The question lies in the offense. But with what Rodgers has said about, the offense didn't cut it last year. They weren't into it. They didn't believe. And we're bringing Roll in to be that leader. Mm-hmm. Now, will the talent come? That's another story. And a lot is going to rest on the offensive line. And in my eyes, the offensive line is the difference between, is this going to be a 5-win team or is this going to be a 7-win team?
Yeah.
And if the O-line is mediocre, I think it's going to be hard for them to get to a bowl game. If the O-line is good, I have a hard time seeing how they wouldn't make a bowl game when you're just talking through the math of SEMO, Bowling Green, Cincinnati, West Virginia, and then off of that, you've just got to find 2 more wins, whether it's Baylor, UCF, K-State, Oklahoma State, Iowa. Like that right there, if they can run the ball, I see them in a bowl game.
I would argue you're actually maybe underselling it a little bit. If the offensive line is good, like good by most measures, not just like, oh, we think it's like not shitty. Like if it's
so maybe I'm basing my expectations off of the prior era where it's
you
like,
got to remember that like
if the O-line can just be, please just be average.
Please just be okay. Be
best,
like not
best O-line we've had under this coaching staff.
I mean, like that's the thing.
I think you're right, Levi.
So if they have a good O-line, like, if they can run the ball consistently,
let's say middle of the pack in the Big 12.
Yeah, if they're like a solid offensive line and they can run the ball effectively, that opens up play action. It opens up tons of other stuff. And then I expect Iowa State special teams to be quite good.
That's another element.
Good. Because you have Kyle Conradi, who's going to be up for a Grozo Award.
Yep.
And then you've got Cam Petaway, who's the active leading returner in as far as kick return average. You've got Aiden Flora that took a punt back for his TCU last year. And either Jonah DuPont, or the new freshman whose name I'm forgetting, the Aussie kid.
Yep.
Either one of those, they're going to be good enough. Like, if you look at what Iowa State is probably going to be able to do in terms of making up the hidden yardage, as far as getting longer returns, making long field goals, stuff like that, you can take a lot of pressure off of your offense. If you have a good defense that is able to generate turnovers, generate negative plays, generate punts, and they can kick the ball to Aiden Flora more often, who can get a couple, get 10, 20, or a touchdown.
Hidden yardage.
Right, hidden yardage there. And all of a sudden, if you can start starting drives at the 35 or the 40 instead of the 20 or the 25, that changes everything. Because now all you need to do is get 1 or 2 first downs, and you're in Kyle Conradi range already. And if you have that, you have pretty comfortable points on most possessions. And when you can run the ball, eat clock, get some points on basically every possession, that is going to win you a lot of football games. A lot of football games. I mean, all you have to do is look out east on what special teams, defense, and running the ball can do for you. And
look how many games that team out east won when they couldn't run the ball.
Right. And they never had a quarterback nearly as dynamic as Jalen Rayner is. Like, that option has never been available to them ever. So you have a lot of fun tools here. Now, the problem, you have to do some projection as far as what you think the offensive line is going to be, because you have to hope that a group of junior and senior transfers can come in and mesh right away, which you're going to expect them to mesh quicker than if you had a bunch of underclassmen. But if you can get a solid offensive line play and have a running game that can consistently get 4 yards a carry, you're going to be in good shape. You're going to be in position to win a lot of football games.
That's kind of where I see things, is that I think we could have a reasonably high floor this year.
Yes.
But the ceiling, I guess, what is the ceiling for this Iowa State team? What are we trying to achieve? I mean, the coach thinks we can win the Big 12 in year one. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's awesome.
And I'm glad he does.
I love that he believes. I also think he wouldn't say that if he didn't truly believe it.
Oh, I absolutely think that. I believe Jimmy Rogers when he says, "I think we can win the Big 12." I absolutely believe he believes that. And like I said, though, if you look at the schedule, at BYU and at Arizona are your two toughest games. I don't think Arizona is unbeatable. BYU barely beat us last year, and it took some really terrible turnovers and stuff like that to lose to BYU.
Horrible game.
Horrific game. It took a really terrible game on Iowa State's part to even let BYU back into that game, much less let them win that game. And now Bear Bachmeier is dealing with a different defense, a faster defense that can contain his run a little bit better. And, there isn't a single, just like the past years, there isn't a game on the schedule that you look at and it's there's just no way they can win that.
Yeah, the thing to remember, too, with the Big 12, and that, this is not going to be every single week, but BYU, both of the last 2 years when they've had these 10-win seasons where they were really good, last year they were on the ropes with UCF at home.
Yeah.
The year before, and Colorado at home last year. And the year before that, I want to say they were on the ropes with Houston at home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that was when Houston was bad.
They lost to Kansas at home, too.
Yeah, they lost to Kansas. So BYU's not unbeatable, and I'm not in the business of stacking. Where does Iowa State stack up if they're trying to make a Big 12 championship? Because I do think it's outlandish, but I'm glad the coaching staff thinks it and believes it at the same time. I just think my responsible duty as a media member, my honest opinion, if I had to put $100 on one result, I'm still going 6-6.
Sure.
Because I do think that there will probably be a few too many offensive limitations. And I think the defense, while it will adjust, and I think it will be really good, I still think you're bringing up a lot of guys from a different level of football that might wear down over the year. And
that's why I worry a little bit about
I think
the beginning of the season. You look at the early game, probably the two most physical teams we'll play are Iowa and Utah, and we play them both in September.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's reasonable to expect the defense to be, if we're talking between scoring defense and total defense and all the advanced analytics, I think it's reasonable to expect them to be between 20 and 35 nationally.
Yeah.
And if they're better than that, then okay, you're looking at, if you're better than top 20, if you're top 15, you're probably looking at a top 3 or 4 defense in the conference. And if that's the case, that's how Houston did what they did last year, going from whatever they were 3-9 to, I think they won
9-3.
They
won a bowl game. I think they won 10 games.
If you're talking you're in the low 30s, you're okay, at that point you're probably going to need some help from the offense, and that's where it just depends on what does above average look like for the offense. Is it an offense that's in the 50 to 60 range? I think that's doable with a really good defense playing to each other. If the offense is in the 80 to 90 range, I think that's where you really struggle. And that's where it might be like, okay, you hit the floor and the floor is 4-8, where you look good against the two teams in the non-conference and probably took care of business against a West Virginia and a Cincinnati, but couldn't get over the hump elsewhere. And that's where I kind of think the ceiling and the floor goes. But if, like the example I use, if they're better than top 20 and they're a top 15 defense and they can be a top 50 offense, I don't see why that formula wouldn't be 8 or 9 wins if you have a ball bounce your way or two. And I think expecting both of those to happen with each other is probably unrealistic and unfair. But I don't think it's unrealistic for either to happen, if that makes sense.
I think the offense has a much higher ceiling than people think it does.
See, here we go. All right.
So I think the narrative that the offense has lots and lots of limitations, I think, is partially based on unknowns. Just not knowing, like, what is Evan Boyd going to be?
Yeah.
Something like not what does Cody Jackson look like?
That is the biggest question mark for that room.
But question marks don't equal limitations; they equal variance. That's a common misconception, is that just because I don't know something doesn't mean there's a limit to it.
Socrates.
It means that I don't know what the variance looks like. So, and I know, like, CW's talked about it on podcasts where he's like, because he's an air raid guy, all this, right? And like,
unbelievable.
Get with the times, man. But air raid's so 2015. Anyways, so but anyways, and you don't have to put up 600 yards to have a good offense. You just need to have an efficient offense that can make the most of its possessions, make the most of each individual play. When I see a power running game, that's going to be able to probably reliably get 3, 4, 5 yards carry, and especially when you have tight ends getting involved here, and if the offensive line is solid, fine. If they're fine and they can run block at least, that, and you have a solid running game to build on, that opens everything up. And I know that's it's an old school way to think, and then there's a gap there where we like, oh, you don't need the run to open up the pass. You can use the pass to open up the run, which you can, but now we can go back to, listen, if we have a really good run game, the defense has to compress, and you have a mobile quarterback. You have the best running quarterback at Iowa State since probably Seneca Wallace. Maybe Brett Meyer, but probably Seneca Wallace. You have the best running quarterback you've had in 25 years. And now you have that available to you. You have bootlegs available to you. You have designed QB runs, and not just Rocco or Brock taking a read option and just running downhill off tackle and just falling for 5 yards.
They
or something
need
like
6 yards. They're going to get 6 yards.
Right. And that's what it's designed for. Jalen Raynor, you can get him on a bootleg. And we talked about a little bit about this on this week's episode of Down the Pipe when we were doing an Iowa breakdown on how you can attack their 4-3 scheme, because you attack it on the perimeter basically, and you create confusion at different levels, like with what's called a flood concept. You have guys coming short, got another guy in the medium, and another guy further downfield. Sometimes it's hook, sometimes it's a go route down there, whatever it is. And what you have available to you there, though, is instead of having to dedicate a tight end to the flat or a slot receiver on an out route and then your X receiver on a go route, instead of having to have 3 receivers do that, now you can have 2. You can have 2 there. You can have a tight end coming on a crosser or on a delay, or they can block, because you have Jalen Raynor out there. And when Jalen Raynor bootlegs to the outside, then all of a sudden that linebacker has to come down, and he's essentially functioning as that third receiver. So when you have that pull down, you create that room. So if you have the tight end on the right side there, and you can roll him out, and I'm designing a specific
right now
play
we're playing the college football video game.
That's correct.
Where,
Yeah,
you put your best athlete at quarterback, and then you just wait until. I mean, if nobody's open, you wait for the linebacker to come down, and then you just run around.
That's exactly right. Or you hold LB, flick the right stick, and you send him upfield. That kind of kinda, but when you have that available to because you can have an extra blocker, you can get him outside the pocket, and then all of a sudden the defense is like, shit, this guy's fast, and I gotta come down and help on this, because otherwise he's gonna gash us for 20 yards. So you bring that down, you have a tight end on a delay route, or you have a corner come down to cover that, and you have that receiver sitting back over top. We saw that against Iowa last year with Jalen on that wheel route, because he got open on that sideline because they had another guy coming in the flat, brought the corner down.
Nwampa was a step late.
Right. Nwampa was a step late. to get over there, and that's how you find Jalen Noel on that wheel route.
Yeah, it was Castro who was Castro's a step late.
The defender was late.
Sorry.
And
Hawkeye
Jake doesn't know what he's talking about here.
Hawkeye Jake steps in again.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
this all sounds well and good. Like,
so what I'm saying here is
you told Roll that, right? That you could do that, and he was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea."
I should go tell him and be like, "Hey, have you thought of this? Have you thought of play action with a mobile quarterback before? Think about it." But like I said, when you have a quarterback as mobile as Jalen Rayner, that gives you a lot more options on offense. I mean, he can be the guy that just sits in the pocket and delivers good balls to the middle of the field, or to the flats or whatever else. He can be that guy. You got a really high-end runner at quarterback available to you. That causes so many problems for defenses. And even if you're not taking shots downfield, it's not, Taylor Mauser opening up the 24 season by just taking a huge bomb downfield to Jalen Noel. Even if you're not doing that, which it'd still be kind of fun if they did that. But, because
70 yards to Amar Hayes, first play of the year.
Or you bring in.
Roll was on staff when that happened, right? He was a running back coach.
He was a running back coach, yeah. You could bring in who's the Brandon Gallner, the track athlete that they signed last month.
Oh, yeah.
6'5" with a 39-inch vertical. Send him. But anyways, when you have all that stuff available to you, then it gives you so many options for how you can attack defenses. If Tyler Roll is a good play caller, then he can find a floor there that I would say should be able to just keep moving the ball. Because if your default is nobody's open because we don't have receivers that can get open, which I don't think that's the case. I think Cody Jackson's awesome. I think Amari Hayes is going to be a stud. Dominic Overby. If the worst case scenario is Jalen Rayner is running, we're good with that. That's fine.
Just got to keep him healthy.
You got to keep him healthy. But Jalen's also a smart kid. He's been kind of an Iron Man in college football. He hasn't hardly missed any time. He has not gotten hurt because he's a good runner, but he's also smart about not putting himself in positions to get hurt. He's good at preserving himself. So that running quarterback threat is something that we just have not seen available to us. So we're just not used to factoring that into the ceiling of the offense. And if you can just pick up junk third downs on 3rd and 5 by Jalen Rayner just scrambling out and picking it up, you can keep your running game moving. You just keep picking up first downs. You keep racking up points. You keep chewing time off the clock. There's a certain floor to this offense because of the mobile ability of Jalen Rayner that I don't think is being properly weighed into the ceiling of the offense.
Yeah, and you think about what he did against Iowa State last year.
Yeah.
It's not like that offense was prolific that day. It was...
They had one good player. They had Corey Rucker.
Can't freaking tackle this kid.
No.
And that's really what it was. That game should have been over 5 different times. And sure enough, it's 3rd and 14, and Rayner broke out of 4 tackles. And
so if it's 97 degrees and we're in, what was it, Jonesboro,
Jonesboro,
Arkansas, then we'll be pretty competitive.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. And you have to imagine when it's October and it's in the 50s and he's got a nice grass field to play on and it's
a little dew around 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you got defenders slipping all over the place. You might see
Competitive advantage. Right
Think
there,
what Brendan
right?
Sorsby did to Iowa State a couple years back.
No, don't put that on me. I'm not thinking about that game.
I'm thinking the other way. Iowa State won that game. I'm talking at Jack Trice Stadium when the field was super slick.
Yeah.
And Sorsby, I think Sorsby completed 7 passes that day, but he ran for 150 yards and made that game close for no reason.
Yeah, I'm guessing Sorsby had the over on the dew point on that game.
Wouldn't have been the under on what the dew point was?
Well, I think
This isn't a meteorology show.
I'll be
Okay. Yep.
Shut up, Keeney.
Sorry. You know what? I know I'm never getting invited back, but hey. So, can I ask you guys, what game are you most looking forward to on the schedule? Because I've got one that hasn't been talked about a lot, but I've been thinking about quite a bit.
I think mine's Utah. I think for the reason, if this is a normal year, it's okay, it's year 4 of the Jamie Rogers era. You're looking at the schedule. You're looking where every team stacks up. I think it's Oklahoma State because of it's on Halloween. It's the best weather time of the year at Jack Trice. I think the storyline of those two coaches going at it is really intriguing. I think all of that. But for me this year, it's Utah because while I do think that the Cyhawk game has a chance because it's the Cyhawk game and things get weird and Paul Rhodes won there in 2014 somehow and lost to Kansas the same year, while I think there's a chance that game could potentially go Iowa State's way, I also know that there's a possibility that the physicality, the crowd, the night game is too much to overcome. And my point is, I think win or lose, I don't know how much you can take from that Cyhawk game. I think the Utah game will be the barometer of where is this program.
Yeah.
Utah's the best team that will come into that stadium all year.
Utah's a verified good program, good team.
And if they
They're
take
a
them
good
down,
program. We think they're a good team. They got a first-year head coach.
Fair,
too.
fair, that's fair.
true.
Totally fair. Yeah.
that to me though is if that game goes down to the wire and Iowa State loses on the last possession, it's okay. They're right there, and it's not even October yet. If they lose by 20, okay. There's still some room to grow. It is year one. If they win that game, it's
it's full speed ahead. I'm talking some noise on Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's to me, I think the most. And it's the first meaningful game of the year at Jack Trice.
Yeah.
Other than like SEMO will be cool because it is just the first day of the new era. But I think all of those factors for me, and it's revenge for 13? The most
2010.
The 2010 massacre.
Shaky Smithson.
Yeah.
The first. I'm looking forward to seeing that first beer snake. It's for SEMO. It's gonna be iconic. Like
I didn't
they
even
should
think
they
about
should
that.
put a statue outside of the stadium of the beer snake that gets made that day, because it's gonna go like up to the second deck, out of the stadium.
Wait till the next AD is in his office, and then you can pitch that idea to him.
See,
What if the new AD is anti-beer?
that would make me sad?
Put it on the table and we take it right back.
That would make me very sad. I would be immeasurably bummed if that was the case.
But it'd be so funny.
It would be funny.
I guess I just go back to sneaking it in,
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I got to go back to sneaking, prairie fire shooters back into the game.
I mean, Oklahoma State. I'm glad you said that, Jay, because that's one.
That was the game I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't feel like too many people are talking about that
Yeah.
one. Everybody's penciling Oklahoma State in for like 8 or 9 wins. They have a new coach. It's kind of the same circumstance.
The difference?
North Texas obviously was a little bit of they were a better team last year than Washington State
Yeah.
was. But
Oh, yeah.
you look at they brought their whole offense to Stillwater, and everybody thinks they're going to be good. Well, Washington State had a good defense last year.
Exactly.
We brought
It's
their whole
inverse.
defense here. Yeah, it's just two different.
The context here
two
is
different
that
ways of doing it.
North
but
Texas beat Washington State 56-3.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a huge blowout.
Washington State
think I
also
lost
took,
money on that game.
They also took Ole Miss down to the wire.
They took JMU down to the wire. They took Virginia down to the wire.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that game was really early on in the season.
It was very, very early. Yeah.
Which, again, that's something to consider.
I'm just kind of wondering why everybody's said like Oklahoma State's going to be really, really good, but Iowa State's going to be the worst team in the conference.
It's based on Drew Mestemaker being the best freshman quarterback in the country without a doubt last season, and Caleb Hawkins, the running back, is very, very good.
Like they have really good pieces, and
They do, yeah. They're going to score points. You're going to be looking. Oklahoma State's probably going to be like a vintage, like 2013 Gundy team where they're just scoring 1,000 points a game.
If Mestemaker and Hawkins are a duo, they're a package, and Eric Morris stays at North Texas last year, and those two just decide, you know what, we're going to go to Arizona State. That's instantly the best quarterback running back duo that anybody in the portal is getting all year.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of it has to do with that, and I think part of it is also it's easier to be excited about what you've seen.
Yeah.
It is easier for the casual football fan, the casual football mind to see good offense and be like,
right.
That's a running back.
Yep.
That's a quarterback.
Like
It's a lot harder to see. It's a lot harder to see Isaac Terrell and be like, that's a DN, because most people's eyes when they watch football just aren't going to that. It's going to the skill positions, and I really do think that, along with Eric Morris has a really good pedigree. Yeah. I think that's why they get more of the buzz, but it is a very similar situation.
I like Oklahoma State because I'm a big fan of Drew Mestemaker. That's why. It's not necessarily just Eric Morris. It's the players that they got with him. And when you can bring in the best freshman quarterback in the country, to be there, and you assume he's going to take another step on that, that's a huge piece when you're rebuilding, because Oklahoma State was horrible. And when you get to replace that offense with probably the best QB running back do in the portal at all, and the best freshman quarterback in the country last season. You get to bring that in. That instantly raises your ceiling. Like I said, they're going to score probably 45 points a game, and they're going to give up 50.
Exactly.
But
that's the stylistic clash that I can't wait to watch
Yeah.
is Jimmy's defense versus Eric Morris's offense.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe Oklahoma State is first year Brent Brennan, where
Yeah, they're just
like,
weird.
They Ted McMillan, the best receiver in the country. He's been really good in the NFL. They had Noah Fafita, but they couldn't get a stop.
Right.
And maybe like Oklahoma State, maybe their defense isn't very good. That's a big possibility.
Speaking of,
Should we wrap up?
speaking of slowing down Oklahoma State and Eric Morris, we might have a guy that just walked in that might have a hand in doing that.
We're going to bring in Ross Watson.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, we're joined by Ross Watson. Does it all. Your
Except golf.
your title is it's a lot
Weird.
of things.
It's weird. It's weird
So
with
it's
that.
Sam, secondary coordinator.
Sam Nichols, something passing game coordinator.
The most awkward is, we just get done with the golf outing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what do you do here? You're like, well, how long do you have? It's not just.
I'm Mike Banks. I coach the cornerbacks.
Right. It's not that. It's not that. And it's become, honestly, I've gotten away with it a couple times in the past few days, is I coach on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
And most people are like, oh, cool. Go about their business. You'll run into some where they're like, oh, yeah, no shit. What?
Yeah.
What? And then that's where the rabbit hole starts. It's just become such a unique thing. And I mean, God, there's such a great backstory, too. I'm the only outlier to this defensive staff. Like, I'm the only one that didn't come with this group. And it's been awesome. The players, the coaches, Jimmy, everyone has been awesome about it. But it brings just inherent awkwardness. 2 days ago, we start watching Iowa. All right, we're gonna
Fuck 'em.
dive a little bit more deep into this thing, right, and go. And the marriage and the mix of ideas is awesome. Mm-hmm. But you also got to get over the hurdles of the same time. Like, wait a minute, what the fuck is that guy talking about?
Sure.
I've never done
Terminology.
that.
Is it
All of
terminology
this,
different?
All of it. Well, it was way at the very beginning, yes.
got it,
but
kinda.
so much time has been spent on that. And, that's funny you say that. In my notebook, I'll make a note. We talked about this. Underneath, I'll write RW. This is what you call it. Just so that when I'm
Sure, yeah.
finalizing the notes, everything's on the same page, because the most dangerous shit you can do is say two different things to a player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dangerous. And I think we've done a great job of marrying those words.
Speaking of terminology, actually, I wanted to ask you this because since you're in charge of that kind of that nickel spot, every defense seems to call it something different.
Yeah,
We got I think the last staff called it a star, the star, the third safety. What do you guys call it?
Well, here's literally today. I'm talking to Seth, who's playing that
This is
position.
on the eighth hole. You were deciding this.
I'm deciding this. I'm going through.
You took Seth Johnson.
Seth Johnson. I'm talking to Seth Johnson today. And he's got a couple questions about the alignment of the slot receiver, the number 2 receiver in a formation.
Sure.
Is he inside the hash, outside the hash? Where is he?
Yeah.
So we, not to bore you to death, but we go through those alignments and where he is. And I said, do you know what the NFL calls this position? What is this called? He says, no, I don't. Nickel? I don't. They call it the slot corner.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I said, Seth, why would they do that? And this is just a great conversation. Just like this, we keep going through it
Sure.
and what's going on, what's happening. They call it the slot corner because you've theoretically got the same rules as a corner, just on the slot.
You're just got a different guy.
Picture a college football field. I've got the numbers. I've got the hash. I've got the other hash, the numbers. The outside corners world is so built on proximity to the numbers on a football field. Mm-hmm. Is he inside of those numbers? Is he outside, meaning the receiver? The slot corner is the same world. It's just in relation to the hash. Now, is that guy inside the hash? Is he outside the hash? And one of my favorite things in all of this teaching, coaching, all of this is when the kid or young man goes, all right.
Sure.
All right. That
The light
registers.
switch comes
It
on.
registers.
Yeah.
Now, you ask me what I call it in normal conversation, I'm calling it the nickel.
Sure.
We went through years of calling it the star, and I really don't know if it was out of spite of other people calling it the star or if I didn't truly like it. I just thought, like, why are we cuting this thing up? Sure. It's been called the nickel forever. Yeah. To my learning system, that's what I'm calling it.
I mean, and that's kind of what, I mean, because it was born out of that nickel defense. I mean, that's where the position came from. So, like, it makes sense to call it the nickel.
And I don't want to speak for John here at all, Haycock at all, and I don't know this factually, but that middle safety that he's utilizing, that somewhat revolved around that word, that star word.
For sure.
What is this person? Yeah, maybe he does play a true linebacker depth nickel spot, but he may also play in the middle of the field, in the middle of those two safeties. I get that. If you want to move that player around and have him doing different things, different positions, I understand where that word comes from. For me, it's the easiest in the world. I like putting an N on a piece of paper, and I like saying nickel.
Sure.
You know.
Well, and with that 3-3-5 defense too, because just, I mean, I don't need to explain this to you, but that the way that defense defends the run specifically is, you clog up the middle, spill it to the outside, and that's why, like, for a long time, the star or a safety or a corner, the corners even were always way up on the team in tackles because they were always the ones catching the runners when they got spilled to the outside. That star position, like you said, is the guy that he's not just dropping back in deep coverage sometimes, but he's coming up and he's flying up and finding somebody off the tackle's hip or something like that. So it's kind of a different position, but
and it goes back to the original question of this is like, hey, what the hell do you coach? You've got to be able to relate it to two very different bodies. I mean, to look at it, let's look at Willie and let's look at Seth. Those are not the same thing. Those are not the same people. Those are not the same jobs. They definitely need different words. When you're teaching let's call it a linebacker playing the same position, that's arguably a nickel. It's arguably a nickel. Hey, Seth, you see what this Sam is doing here in this case? Who would that be if we said, let's do this same thing out of nickel? Oh, shit, that would be me. Bam. All right, now you've learned this. We're in nickel. Hey, Willie, do you see what Seth is doing? Yeah? Who would that be if we called base to this thing? Oh, that's me. And I love that part of it. I don't say that in a way of like, oh, man, you got to teach two different things. I think that is a beautiful thing to teach. Like,
so, because like Seth is a corner, and Willie played safety at Colin, and now he's a linebacker now. Right. Ideally, do you have those guys be able to do the exact same thing, or is it like we have Willie if we think it's if we think they're running the ball a little bit more, we need a linebacker in there type of thing, or
it's Jim and I were having this conversation, and Jesse, and it was a great conversation of if I could paint this picture, if on the left side of our brains there's two wide receivers, the inside wide receiver is a skilled player. He's a receiver. He's a slot receiver. If Seth is in the game, let's just argue that we're going to, some form or fashion, double that receiver. Okay? Seth is going to be outside of that wide receiver, and the safety is going to be the guy helping him and fitting the run.
Sure.
So that if shit hit the fan and that safety goes to fit the run, I've now got a corner.
He's there.
That is covering that guy.
Sure.
He's expecting help, but knows he might not get it, right? We can do the exact same schematic thing with Willie in there. You just have to flip it in your head. So now if I got that skilled receiver in the slot, well, Willie's going to fit his ass off on the run.
He's going to play inside leverage.
He's going to play inside.
Yeah.
Now that safety's going to cover that guy. So if shit hits the fan, Willie's going to fit the run. The safety's in man, all good. If done perfectly, Willie and the safety are doubling the slot together.
Sure.
Those are the nuances to who is in the game at that position.
Right.
And what can you do and what do you want to do? And depth is a huge part of that. Like, hey, I bet you in the past 4 years, 2 of those years I've used a safety in that position. 2 of those years I've used a corner in that position. And I can vividly remember one game last year where because of depth and injury, I had to use a linebacker in that position, even though I didn't want to in that game plan. It required it based on what they were doing and based on the best players that we could get on the field. That's what this all comes down to, is how do you possibly get your best players on the football field? You know, I grew up in the fundamental belief of PFP is what I grew up in. I was raised in players, formations, plays.
Yep.
Who are your players? The fucking guy I learned it from was an offensive coach, so it's called formations. But players, what schematically can they do? Get them in the position to do those things the best. That's my fundamental belief on the whole thing. And, you know, could it be 3 corners on the field? Sure. Could it be 3 safeties? Sure. Could it be 3 linebackers? Absolutely. That's my comfort level. That's what I really enjoy figuring out, is who can do those things, who can be in those positions. And, you know, it's so unique that you got to keep working those guys to figure out who's going to be the best in that spot. And as we're still going, this is my fucking answer when people ask me what you coach. So it's a long.
I love it.
I mean,
it's amazing.
Well, I mean, and really, the especially the coverage part of this hinges around that guy quite a bit. So, like, it kind of makes sense to just have a guy that just coaches that position.
Take this. Okay, we got a 2-by-2 formation.
Okay.
I got 2 receivers on the left in my brain. I got a receiver on the right and a tight end on the ball on the right.
Yep.
2 receivers left, tight end, receiver right. Okay? I'm going to play with a nickel in the game. Awesome. Cool. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. I like it. He's going to be on that slot receiver. I'll motion the son of a bitch to the other side. Are you going to put your will linebacker on that slot receiver?
Is he falling over?
Is he following him? Is he spinning with the safeties? There's so many unique ways to play those types of situations. And I love showing an offense a different thing every time that it's possible to show. Wait a minute. This week they bumped these guys over. Now that guy's running with him. Now he's spinning backwards. Good luck telling if it's man or zone.
Right.
Good luck.
Well, and two, like, when you, like you said, if you motion a guy over to, you might have him follow over there to kind of read man essentially, and then just drop everybody
and then
back.
Just plays.
Yeah.
It's those are the things, and you know, you always got to start this out, and everything has to be taught from the day one base foundational principles of how do we play defense. Because all of this stuff, and I'm as bad as it gets at it. I get caught up in, oh shit, that looks cool. The Patriots did this
Find
thing.
the
That looks awesome.
shiny new toy.
The shiny new thing to try. And I'm as bad as anybody at wanting to do that. You're still gonna play your fucking ass off.
Yeah.
That's still the key to defensive football. Play as hard as you possibly can. Run to the football and get there in a really bad attitude when you do. That can't be lost in all of the things that go on. Us coaches, we're so stupid. We spend hours upon hours upon hours of watching things and doing things, and they got to be able to play fast. You know, that can't get lost in all of the adjustments and the learning and the new stuff and the stuff that looks cool. And again, I have to rein myself in on that as much as anybody. But, you know, it's a part of the game that I really enjoy is studying. What are they doing? What's working? What's not working? And what works for us? Take John. I used him as examples for years when I was at Toledo. Because the Campbell, the Haycock, all those connections that were at Toledo.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, you know, they're playing pretty good defense at Iowa State, Ross.
Yeah.
What do you think about trying that? Fuck. All right, we'll try. You know, so you're getting on Zoom meetings with John, and you're doing this stuff, and you know, we try. Hey, that doesn't fit who we have right now.
Right.
We tried it, didn't work. Cool, because I take a lot of comfort in, or I'm not freaked out by. Hey, let's try this, boys. Let's just give this a shot. I mean, I tell the story. Young coach, first year coaching. I'm coaching at Mount Union, Division III football. I get an opportunity to go to the Steelers OTAs. Legendary defensive coordinator. One of the best defensive coordinators in the history of the NFL. I'm sitting in the back of the room. I pull out my notebook. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to take all these notes. This guy's going to be fantastic. And he was fantastic. He gets up there, and this is the days of overhead projectors. So the fucking thing is shooting. He's got a piece of film paper that he's putting up on the thing. So he puts this up, and he goes, all right, boys, I think this defense is going to be fantastic. I'm not sure, though. And my jaw drops. I'm like, wait a minute, what? This guy, Dick LeBeau, this guy's one of the best coordinators in NFL history, and he just said, I don't know if this is going to work. He goes, but here's what I need. I need you to give it your best shot. Try. On the field, I need you to tell me what works, what doesn't, what needs to be changed, what needs to be fixed. That changed the entire trajectory of my career. I'm having a conversation with Jimmy just this morning. What do you do versus this route? Well, in 2025, the guy I had doing that job liked to do this. It works. It's schematically sound. I let him do it. 2023, the guy didn't like to do that job. It's the same defense. It's the same coverage. It's the same fits. It's the same structure. He didn't want to do that job. All right, don't do it. Because it's still sound. It still fits up well. It still covers well. That story, that being at those OTAs, that changed everything about how I viewed teaching. I'm not in this telling you I know all the answers. We're going to figure this out together. We're going to work together to see what you can do the best and go from there. And the other thing I learned from him was this. And, this is probably just as important part of a story. He gives this speech. He goes through this. A guy, I shadow this guy the entire practice. Kid comes up, player, young man in the NFL, a man comes up to him and goes, that ain't going to work. He goes, shut your ass up. You're just not trying. And I learned, okay, you do got the final voice in this thing as it goes.
Yeah.
There's some leeway as it goes, but there's someone in charge. And, just that whole story changed everything for me and how I learned to coach, how I was prepared to do that.
My broad stroke analysis of all of that is kind of what we talked to Jimmy about, and it's you look at their season last year at Washington State. It doesn't look like there's much about their defense that needs changed, and he brings every position coach that's around you, including Bobbitt and Rogers. Everything stays intact going from Washington State to Ames, and they brought you in, and he told us because we never want to get stale, and we never want just our ideas to be in an echo chamber, essentially. To be in that position, to be the guy that is on the outside, what does it mean to you to have that trust from Jimmy that, okay, but sometimes we need our own thing analyzed by somebody else?
Well, I think I got to always toe the line and be careful that I'm not too much of a pain in the ass. That's the first thing. I got to be careful with that of doing those things. But this goes back, I'm terrible with years, but I want to say it was... Is it 2012 when Jimmy was at FAU? Is that the right year?
That sounds about right, because he was done in he was done at South Dakota State in 2009. Was his senior year, so probably right around there.
I think that's the right year.
11, 12,
11, 12.
Yeah.
This relationship of Jimmy and I goes back to that time at Florida Atlantic where we were just two coaches that would get in a room for hours and hours and hours and talk about football.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? What do you believe in? What needs to happen here? One thing that I really appreciate it when two people can yell at each other and not be mad.
Yeah.
That's a really comforting feeling.
I'm the same thing.
That's our podcast network.
That's our podcast.
and how fun is it? And how much do you grow and learn and do these things? And I can't tell you the amount. Do people watch it? Is this a watchable? They're watching.
Yes.
Or they listen? Okay.
Sorry, it's not live. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
no.
I can't tell you the amount of times where I'll present something to Jimmy. Jimmy will present something to me. Jesse, me, whatever the case is. They ask the thing or say the thing, and let's say they have said it to me, and I'll go, yeah, I think you're right. Or, nah, I don't think I believe you. It's true thinking and learning going on through the entire thing. It's just such a cool opportunity to do those things and experience it. And Jimmy can say all that. He wouldn't have brought my ass anywhere if we weren't any damn good on defense. We've been really fucking good.
Right, yeah.
And that's a key to this is, all right, it's working. I don't just like the guy. He ain't bringing people along that he just likes. He's bringing people along that provide a service and can do a job, and I respect that and I appreciate that. You know, and all of those defensive guys, like you just imagine how awkward that can be. You guys are doing this podcast right now. Somebody walks in and he goes, "Hey, here's your new helper. You've been doing this for however many episodes, and go get them, boys." And then walks out of the room. You're like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? Like, that's what they have been thrown into. You know, it's you could argue it's more awkward for them than it is for me.
Yeah.
And they've just been fantastic and great and open, and it somewhat parallels that Steelers story of guys are comfortable saying, okay, yeah, I like that. I want to try that. Or they're comfortable saying, that's stupid. I'm not doing that.
Is it something that you like talk like with like Seth and Willie and about like, listen, if I'm seeing like if you're like if I'm seeing something out there on the field that I think it's working this way, but you're seeing something else and like what I'm telling you isn't working or it's not right or whatever it is, like where they can be like, hey, you're wrong. Like this,
I think that's a great question because there's two different scenarios, but kind of the same scenario that comes up is, let's just take Seth. Mike Banks coaches him. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's playing nickel, and I'm talking to him and coaching him and doing those things and going through those things. I'll say, here's how I view it. But if it is an item, an issue, a thing, a schematic thing that Mike and I have not talked about, so we're new in that. I mean, we're in a couple months.
Yeah.
I'll say, listen, Seth, here's my opinion. Here's what I would be telling you to do. We need to get Mike over here right now. Have him hear what I'm telling you. Yeah, go. Yes, I agree, but it would be a little bit more this way. That's what has to happen because they're back. We were talking. There can't be two different messages to the player.
It's a group effort to get it cleared up.
And the best staffs I've ever been on, and I see this with this group. I see it with this group on offense, and I see it with this group on defense as well. I see so many times that a guy that is not your coach coaching you. I love that. I think that's great. I think every guy on the defensive staff, and I know it's the same for the offense, feels confident talking to another player and understanding. I tell young GAs, I tell young, whatever the words are for this shit now anymore, analysts, GAs, whatever. I tell them all the time, a very powerful statement is, I don't know. Don't be the asshole that goes in and tells you, oh, you do exactly this and this and this. The kid goes and does it and gets yelled at by his coach. You got a fucking problem now.
Yeah.
You got a big problem. Hey, I don't know the answer to that, but you know what? I'm going to go find out. That's powerful. The kids respect it. They understand it. They get that we're all in this together. Nobody's trying to make anybody look bad. That's a huge part of it. You know. There's two people nobody fucking talks to, the quarterback and the kicker. I ain't talking to either one of them guys. Nobody talks to
You don't want to be the one that's responsible for like fucking up Kyle or something.
Kyle, why'd you miss it? Oh, fucking Ross told me that my shin angle was pointed a little. No chance. I say hi to him looking the other way as I'm passing in the hall.
Fortunately, Kyle's pretty good at his job, so like probably don't need to give him a ton of pointers.
Nothing.
Yeah. But what you're saying though is it for the fans looking outside in is it's easy to see that mentality as far as like it's just open, honest communication. No one's taking a shot at each other. We're here to work together to get this thing figured out, and we're gonna be honest. Like there's no reason to leave things up for interpretation because all that does is it creates variables where something can go wrong. Yeah. And what I've noticed about like how this is going to sound kind of meta, but you and Jimmy and all the rest of the staff, how you guys talk to us is that it's all very upfront and it's like we don't get the coachisms and stuff like that, which I'm sure you don't love the coachisms.
I mean, but what the fuck? Am I allowed to pull up my phone?
Go for it, yeah. No.
Yeah. Somebody calling you?
No. Fuck no. I don't know how these operate all that much. I now have hit the old man phase of like,
I hear that.
I don't know. I got to find something though for
wait till you're in a group chat with us. Like I'm 34, but wait till you're in a group chat with a bunch of kids in like their early 20s, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
This is inspiration to my heart. Okay. This is a quote I'm going to read to you, and I'll tell you who it is at the end. You guys might know. I have never. Let me read this first because there's a lot of bad shit in here that I can't say. Okay. I have
I mean,
never.
you can say whatever.
I have no. I have never, ever since I managed, ever told a pitcher to throw at anybody, nor will I ever. And if I ever did, I certainly wouldn't make him throw at a fucking 130 hitter. Or, yeah, there you go. Who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat. I guarantee you this. When I pitched and I was going to pitch against a team that had guys on it like that, I sent a fucking limousine to go pick the up from his house to make sure that he'd be in the lineup that night. Tommy Lasorda.
Yes, that sounds like Tommy Lasorda.
That kind of, like, that's a real quote. Like, he's pulling no punches.
Yeah.
He understands, like, that's real. And I think it's fair, too, to understand that, like, you sit there and say, hey, who's going to be the starting Sam? No,
Well,
not interested. But real questions should warrant real responses.
Yeah.
That's how I view it. Because I want to hear people really talk.
Yeah.
I want to hear you really talk.
People are going to love this. I can tell you that already.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, that guy is a gigantic asshole. And that sucks. But okay,
But there's going to be a vast majority of people that be like, man, it was really refreshing to hear a football coach talk about football.
That's what I just love that. I just want to talk about football.
For us, it's a big change. It's a big change in like what we hear from the program and stuff like that. Just what the fans hear, it's a big change or whatever. And like, not saying one way is better than the other necessarily, but it's just like it's for us. Like, anyways, it's refreshing to hear that type of thing.
I mean, there's a lot of Matt's gonna get mad at me for this, but
Matt's probably not watching an hour 50.
I would be surprised if Matt is
Cyclone
watching
Fanatic
this.
at this point. He's too busy at the.
He's too busy at the Quaker
He's too
State.
big,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy this. I enjoy this. This is not like he's coming to get me off the golf course like, oh, fuck, I got to go do this real quick. Now, he texted me about, can I do a newspaper article for a reporter in Syracuse to talk about 2 Toledo coaches going there?
Ooh.
No.
Woof.
No. This? Yeah, I'm all in. This is...
I'm glad to hear that this hasn't been miserable.
Just wait.
I got no problems doing. I enjoy doing this.
Actually, I do have an X's and O's question for you here. Okay, so this is now we spent
Go ahead.
we spent the last decade watching 3-3-5. That's how our brains are wired. It's like we're just sitting back. So when we hear 4 down, we're like, hell yeah, we're gonna see a quarterback on his ass, and it's gonna be awesome. But I have a question as far as like run fits, especially from corners, because
This is bullshit.
So I was watching some tape.
10 fucking interceptions my senior year, and this is. Go ahead.
So we were watching Wazoo tape, a little bit of Toledo. We did also find some some D3 school stuff. So I was watching this game here, and I wanted to see. Well, you thought there was the read on this corner here. I was trying to see what was going on this play. So obviously you can see we're in an I form
That's
here.
not me.
You get are you sure?
Yes.
Number 20.
That is a guy named Alex Grinch that was 4 years older
Really?
than
You
me.
know what? Listen.
That's out. That's another Mount Union connection.
You know what's funny about this?
I'm kidding.
That's like bullshit. I look at the fucking
Alex
roster.
Grinch was number 20. Alex Grinch was number 20.
What? You were. What number were you?
20. That is me.
You're fucking with me.
Grinch was 20 when I was a baby going to.
I was gonna say like I checked this like 3 times, but so I know I was just giving you shit
Where do
here,
I end up?
but you
Oh my
fucked
God,
it
that is
right there.
terrible.
Yeah, you fucked
That
it.
can't be my job.
Well, I mean, it wasn't not your job.
I wouldn't do that.
Like, I mean, so we showed this to Jimmy Rogers, and he thought that you were confused about what the nickel here was doing. Because your guy left. But see, what's confusing me here is you're like, oh, I'm going to hide behind this guy. You're like, there's no way the quarterback.
I was not a big tackle.
Yeah,
I was not a big tackle. I had the classic neck tackle. Did you see that guy coming around there?
Yeah. So it seems to me like you think he's going to cut back in, and
I don't think I'm even looking.
He
at him.
super doesn't. Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah, I wasn't much of a run fitter.
Well, yeah.
But my head coach that told me about this PFP thing, players formations plays, should have known not to put my ass in that position. Because
was that Coach Karras?
That was Coach Karras.
I figured. Yeah. You know what's funny? This specific game, I know. I'm sure you know what game that was. Yeah. So I won't bring it up any further. But
we're the black eye of the program.
because you were the one that lost a game.
We lost.
You did still win the Natty that year.
We won 54 in a row and lost.
I believe you had 9 interceptions that year, by the way.
I don't think that's right.
The internet disagrees with you, but
Really?
yeah. I
Do you
looked
know
at
how
it-
many minutes of a second half I played my senior year?
No.
0.
Wow.
That probably checks out because you guys kind of blasted people.
Yeah.
But
We're the black eye of the program.
what's funny though is that if you go back and watch that specific game, it's a great little snapshot of Iowa State lore in this because the offensive coordinator was.
I don't know.
It was Matt Campbell was the offensive coordinator.
I don't know who that is. either.
I don't know who that guy is. But then Brian Gasser, former wide receiver coach here, was the tight end for Ohio Northern.
Yeah.
So there's a
You know
bunch
who
of
else
names
is on that film? Tommy Manning. He's
Oh,
the
yeah.
starting tackle for us on that film.
This
You know who
one
else is
game
on
of
there? No, not that year.
was
Capone.
Grinch gone by then?
Matt Capone.
Capone was on there. Okay, sure.
No, but he wouldn't have been on that. He wouldn't have been on that year. Trying to think of who else. I think that's probably it.
That's probably about it.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
Mount Union wise, yeah.
Yeah, but it was I
Such bullshit that's the fucking plan.
what was
How
funny.
many do other coaches do this? Have they done this?
Not this particular thing. So
So this is not just a me gonna have the film. Everybody's.
you're the only one that has film so far. So I tried to find one. I tried to find some of Jimmy, and I may have found his best 4 games ever, but
Really?
I couldn't find a play of him fucking up.
There's no chance that's true.
Oh, I'm saying I couldn't find it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying
Right.
I must have found the 3 or 4 games he didn't fuck up. But
Let me ask you this.
I tried. I told Jake I tried.
Let me ask you this. So if we pick out a random 4-game sample of every coach on staff, who do you think is going to be the easiest to find their mistakes?
Fucking me, clearly. I mean,
To be fair, it took one. It
how
took
many
one.
one game.
It took one Google search. Yeah, I was like Mount Union 2005, and it was like bang. That game was like
There's
cool.
no chance that's how that went.
Yeah,
no
Just
chance.
because just
I
because it's
googled
one,
Mount
though.
Union 2005, and it went straight to Ohio Northern. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this game, I guess. And then
Me, I guess. Me.
But who is the most? You were the easiest to find one, but it might have just been when you click on the video where it's at. We're talking, you're going down
wait.
and you're grading every player.
it's right there. One Google search, bang.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You don't go to the national.
No, I didn't watch that one. I was looking for a bad play.
Do you know that your alma mater ruined my alma mater's best season of all time? It was before you got there, in the mid '90s.
How mid? What's mid mean?
What?
How
the
mid?
middle of the decade.
Yeah,
later.
but how mid? No,
Later.
How?
I want to say 96.
Oh, all right.
Probably.
Because I was gonna say my brother was there in 7.
Maybe it was. It was Simpson
that
Mount
right,
Union.
7?
So I went to Simpson College, and Simpson's best team of all time went unbeaten.
Was
just
Matt
rolled
there at
through
that time?
everybody. I think it was a year before Matt.
Okay.
I think is.
He was 9 because he
I
was.
think Matt was at Pitt when that because
Yeah, that
I've
was
done
his
some
freshman
research
year?
into it.
he was
Okay,
98,
okay.
99, 2000 at Mount.
But yeah, it was
I think.
best Simpson team of all time, undefeated, and then it was 55-0 in the semifinals. That I hear about it all the
machine.
time.
You ran
That's
into
the
the
sign
Mount.
that goes-
You ran into the Mount Union freight train. Yeah.
Oh, you freaked your head.
Well, Coach Watson,
It's a machine.
thank you so much for joining
thank
us.
you,
This
guys.
was a blast.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah,
being a good
absolutely.
sport.
I'm sorry for all the stuff you'll
Hopefully you come back.
take out.
I said, I'm sorry. I immediately found a highlight of that highlight.
And not even backed up with a good play.
No,
Just
no.
straight bullshit.
Yep,
and then-
absolutely.
Yeah, you probably should have found a good play. That's on me.
That was
boss.
That was your job. I was finding the bad play.
Was it 9?
Yeah, it was 9.
I think I've been lying to a lot of people then.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It was 9. It was 9 interceptions.
No, it's the
don't think
SID did a bad job.
I mean, yeah. I can't verify if the SID did the
No,
right job.
the SIG back then. You've got to
Yeah.
be like,
I'm
Well,
not-
you know what my big reward for that was? You know how people take a tree trunk and they carve something into it?
Yeah.
There's one at Mount Union that is located behind the concession stand. That's my name on it. That's how many.
10
Did it
interceptions.
say 10?
Like, you got to go look for it to find
That's no good. The tree's wrong.
Nobody notices. It's behind the concession stand. Nothing's back there but a brick wall.
Well, listen. I won't tell anybody if you won't.
I think it's 10.
Nobody's listening to this
Unfortunately,
anyway,
it's on
so
the
you're-
internet now. But it's Well, I'll say it's 10. It's fine.
All right.
If that's
All
what
right.
if you need that, I'll.
I would like it. I would like it. Because I can say
he
double
had
digits.
10.
Double digits. That's a big
Yeah,
difference.
yeah. And honestly, is having double-digit interceptions in a season is a big fucking
And
number.
I'm pretty sure it was that.
Way to ruin it for him, Levi.
Listen, I've been nothing but the harbinger of bad news today. It's great.
Well, I don't know if this has been successful or not, but it's been enjoyable.
That's all I can ask
I think it's
for at
been
this
both.
point.
Okay.
Coach Ross Watson, everybody.
Thank you, sirs.
Thanks for joining the program.
Thank you.
Well, you guys just listened to Ross Watson. That was awesome. We're now joined by Jay Chapman, the president of the Cyclone Gridiron Club.
And a big step down from Ross Watson. I
Oh,
think.
don't say that. No.
I mean,
This event's been great, and we appreciate
Yeah,
you
it's
for
been
having us out here.
Yeah.
And because of you guys, we were able to relay so much good stuff to the fan base, and
That's
and
what we want. Yeah.
just know that all came from the Gridiron Club today.
Yeah, that's great. And we're here just to support football in any way possible. We've got again, today we're out here, we're raising money through a golf outing and an auction and bringing Cyclones together for a good time to be able to meet all the coaches and that sort of thing. We just want Cyclone football to have all of the resources it needs to be able to do what it is. And so it's about raising money. We know that money's driving it all, and we know that football drives the train of the athletic department, and we've been around for about 20 some odd years, and we're raising money for football. We're going to continue to do that.
How have you seen, I guess, things change in this era? What are the needs for the Gridiron Club going from Matt Campbell now to Jimmy Rogers?
Well, I'll even take it back further. So, Mac, started this back in like 2004, 2005. So at that time, we were trying to raise money for the coaches.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have funds for the coaches to be able, he's like, Dan McCartney says, well, I got to pay this assistant or that assistant. And so we were raising money to be able to supplement the coaches. And so that got to a spot, well, now the athletic department understands, we got to pay the coaches, and so we got that covered. And so now it's facilities. We don't have a weight room that rivals anywhere else, and so we don't have the facilities that everybody else has in the Big 12. So, now we're raising money for facilities, and now we've got the Stark, we've got the Bergstrom, we've got the weight room that is rivaling any other Big 12 school. So we did that, and now as we get into the past Matt Campbell and into the Jimmy Rogers era, it is about a combination of all of those things. We've got facilities we want to make sure that we maintain. We know we've got NIL. We want to make sure that we maintain. And so we're, in the end, raising money for things that come up that Coach Rogers didn't budget for. Athletic director, Jamie Pollard, whoever the new AD is going to be, it's stuff that they say, we got to have this money, and so we are a source of those funds, and it's a way to make sure that that the football program is not wanting for anything at any time.
How have you seen, the financial landscape of the sport has changed dramatically in the last 5 years, especially. just the last 2 years, it really has. But even if you just say, call it 5 years when NIL first really showed up, how before it was facilities, maybe helping with coaches, stuff like that or whatever. How has the Gridirons Club? How have you changed your approach, or have you adapted your approach to fundraising at in this era where it's where now the sport is more money hungry than ever?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that we haven't changed our approach too much in that we're doing a lot of the same thing. It's very, membership driven. So about 50% of our funds raised come through membership, and it's across the spectrum. We've got $100. We've got folks that are donating, $20,000. So we have the full spectrum of fundraising, and so that's a big chunk of the money. The other half of that is events, and events like this, and so we raise money through those. So how we raise the funds is pretty much the same. The difference is, every single year is different. Head coach and athletic director have a different decision to make this year. Where does that money need to go? Where do we have to spend that money? And sometimes it's coaching development. We need to send a coach to learn about that sort of thing. Or we need to, maybe it's as simple as we want to have a reception at a bowl game. anywhere that they want to spend the money is where it is, and that's what we're doing as a full 501c3 nonprofit. We're raising money to go to the fund, the Gridiron Fund that we have at the foundation, through the same kinds of things that we do now, but where the funds get used is what's different.
When you look at, I guess, who is members right now of the Gridiron Club, what is your goal 5 years from now of what you want that membership to look like? What groups of people, what reaching the students, the guys that are just graduated college? Take me through that.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, and this is not just for the Gridiron Club, but it's really generally fundraising. You know, the vast majority of our members are people at my age or later, older folks. We are starting to do some outreach to students. And so we have a student membership. It's $25. And you get started in the Gridiron Club, and we hope that you stay in the Gridiron Club for the long term. So we are working on engaging with the students a little bit more. And we do want to understand, you know, that the younger folks, younger than me, are as passionate about Iowa State football as we all are. And so every dollar that we spend, every $100 that we spend goes directly to football. And if we give that money to football, if we make sure football is prepared to be as successful as possible, that's what drives the rest of the athletic department. And that's the goal for us is we want every new graduate, every recent graduate, just join at $100. If you're a member, you have the opportunity to come to an event like this. Membership has its privileges. And so join, be a member, come to this event, and let's all support Cyclone football.
Awesome, Jay. Well, thank you so much for having us out here. This has been an incredible day. I feel like if my knowledge of this football team was at 50% before today, I feel like I'm at 75%. And
isn't it great?
We didn't even talk about specific players. Just learning, being up close to Jimmy and Ross, you just learn so much.
And the philosophy and the atmosphere and the feeling of the coaching staff, and you and Ross talked about a little bit, like you get how they all work together, and that's really awesome to see because it is a way to cross-pollinate across all of the players. It doesn't have to be one coach coaching one player. It's multiple coaches that are all on the same page on how things need to work.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
And learning about their philosophical foundation and their approach to communication, their approach to leadership, and their approach to human development honestly, it almost tells me more about what this team can. It tells me more about the ceiling of the team, about what it can be, than knowing the little individual ins and outs of who's playing where and stuff like that, and or the tangibles necessarily, like knowing how fast Aiden Flora runs a 40. Like that's like fun knowledge, I guess, but it doesn't tell me like what the program is going to be. But hearing how Ross and Jimmy approached their jobs, how they approached building the program, building the infrastructure of their coaching staff, building their communication structure, hearing all that gives me a lot of hope and confidence. Really,
Confidence.
Hope isn't even the right word, but confidence is the right word.
Yeah, it is.
Where it's just like, okay, I feel really good about this. That like at some point, this like it might be game 1, it might be game 10. So, like this thing is like it's gonna click at some point, and it's gonna be beautiful when this thing is like running at full speed. And like I said, I don't know how long it's gonna be there. If it's gonna be 1 game, 3 games, 5 games, 10 games, I don't know. But like what I can tell you is that they've got the foundation to have as successful a program as they want to have.
Yep.
Like at some point, Matt, at some point, Jimmy's going to pick us for a conference championship, and he's just going to be right.
Yeah.
And you talk about the resources. That's the thing. They have what they need because of what we do, what we all do. And so let's make sure that they have all the resources and let them go out and do what they know they want to do and need to do, because I have the confidence that they know their shit. Let them do that.
Yeah.
Let them do
it. Well,
and
if you can take that off their plate as far as just worrying about, do I have enough money to do this thing? Or if they don't have to worry about that, they can do what they want to
Even
do,
more.
which is coach
100%.
football. They don't want to be fundraisers. They
Yeah,
want to
damn
coach.
right,
They
yeah.
want to coach football,
Yep.
or whatever like that. So if you can take that off their plate, that's helps them even more.
Well, that's a great place to leave this.
Yeah.
That pretty much puts a bow on everything we talked about today
Yeah.
between all of it. So thank you so much for having this event, Jay. Thank you for having us be a part of it.
Yeah.
And we'll have to do it again. Maybe
It'll be
next
great.
year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, lots more great stuff for Cyclone football.
Well, Levi, that was a blast.
Yeah, I mean, I get the privilege of talking about the Cyclones like 3-4 times a week at this point. That was an incredible just time talking to Jimmy and Ross, because they're just like the realest dudes you'd ever talk to. They're super honest with you. They're upfront. They treat every question you ask as though it's like the most important question they've been asked.
And they think about it.
And they do. They give it real thought. I mean, you can see Jimmy do it. Like, he'll stop and think about it, and then he'll give you his answer or whatever. And I really appreciate that. And where it's like he's giving, both of them gave every single question that we asked, gave it the amount of thought that they thought it deserved, which was a lot.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. We asked Ross Watson three questions,
Maybe,
Like-
if that.
and he gave fantastic, detailed answers, and it was
It wasn't an interview. It was way more of a conversation. I know that's cliche to be like, yeah, I don't want this to be an interview. I just want to have a conversation with you. But
Right, yeah.
oftentimes
yeah.
it turns into an interview
Yeah.
where the especially Watson, that's the furthest thing from an interview possible. And
That was just three guys bullshitting about football at a bar. That's all it was.
And we appreciate Jimmy. We appreciate Ross. We appreciate Jay for coming on. We appreciate Chad Settle for help and set everything up. Of course, all the people at Towns of Tuscany that always will just
Beautiful-
pave the way to make
beautiful
great stuff
venue.
like this happen. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun, Levi. Thanks for making the trek from Cascade.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Austin Keeney for coming up, cutting from work early. This has been Cyclone Fanatic After Dark. We appreciate everyone for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learn more about the football staff as we draw closer and closer to football season. Fall camp gets underway here in the next couple weeks, and I'm there. I'm just going to take some sleeping pills and get myself to football.
Listen, man, if you can listen to those Jimmy Rogers and Ross Watson interviews and not come away ready to run through a brick wall right into Jack Trice Stadium, you ain't got a pulse.
Nope, you don't. Well, guys, thank you for joining us here in the Northwest Bank Studios. We will be back with Williams and Bloom on Sunday, and then a normal week of programming coming up on Monday. Thank you so much for listening in.